contract to purchase the vacant property after they failed to come to an agreement with the city of Milwaukee. Our partners at the Milwaukee Business Journal say city officials would not drop a raise order for the company's redevelopment, which Phoenix Investors founder and chairman Frank Crivello said was a problem he couldn't overcome. Security at the property will continue into next week, so the city has time to make other plans. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Special counsel Jack Smith's office introduced new charges and added new details in the secret documents case against former President Donald Trump yesterday, sending what ABC's John Santucci explains is likely a very strong message to the former commander-in-chief and his team moving forward from the special counsel.
I think what yesterday showed us more than anything, special counsel is not done. They are continuing to bring in witnesses. They are still issuing subpoenas for documents, for records, for testimony. So if you thought for a second the kitchen was closed, think again. They are still looking.
Trump denies any wrongdoing. In a radio interview today, the former president said he believed he was not required to hand over the tapes, but did so anyway. That brutal heat wave continues to affect millions of Americans. Around 150 million people are in for extreme heat today from California to New York. The high temperatures expected to last through the weekend in the Midwest and Northeast. We're expecting possible severe thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up. Inflation showed more signs of cooling in June. Last month's personal consumption expenditures price index increased by just 0.2% from the previous month. The report comes after the Federal Reserve announced a 0.25 percentage point interest rate increase earlier this week. Excitement's growing over the upcoming Mega Millions drawing, now at more than $900 million. Here's ABC's DeMarco Morgan.
All eyes are on the Mega Millions as the jackpot nears $1 billion.
You know, someone's got to win, so why not me?
The main prize is currently the fifth largest amount in Mega Millions history at a whopping $910 million, with a cash out of about $450 million.
The Brewers making a strong push for a return to the postseason. Brewers president of business operations, Rick Schlesinger, telling Wisconsin's Morning News the team is not done trying to bring in more players ahead of the trade deadline.
We're in a position where we want to get in the postseason and do some damage in the postseason. We need to, improve the major league team now.
The MLB trade deadline is next Tuesday. Brewers and Braves tonight from Atlanta, 5:45 broadcast time here on WTMJ. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 198 points, the Nasdaq Composite is up 258, and the S&P 500 is up 43. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
Hi there, it's Jim Griffin. Whether you're a new or existing customer residing on the northwest or south side of town, we got you covered with Griffin Sizzlin' Service Specials. For just $129.95, get your oil changed, tires inspected and rotated, battery and air filter checked, multi-point inspection done, AC checked, and even your wiper blades changed. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Grab our Sizzlin' Summer Specials for just $129.95, good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Rose Gray here from Fox World Travel. Now is the time to book your all-inclusive vacation because the Fox exclusive early booking sale is on now. Fox World Travel has partnered with Apple Vacations to offer exclusive deals at resorts in Mexico and the Caribbean with the nonstop flights to get you there. Do yourself a favor and get your vacation on the calendar now. Your reservation only requires a deposit. The deals are great, and friends and family will thank you. Contact a travel advisor or visit foxworldtravel.com by July 28th.
People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? Wish Caregiver Careers can get you started as a certified direct care professional. You'll learn the skills you need to make life better for older adults or people with a disability. All training is free and online. Plus, earn $500 in bonuses. Start your new career. Sign up today at wiscaregivercdcp.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Let's face it, selling a home is stressful, difficult, and costly. The repairs, the showing your home to strangers, the months it takes to get to closing. And then what do you do with the 20 years of belongings you've accumulated? There's an easier way, and you have nothing to lose to try it out. Grandview Homes will give you a no-obligation, fair cash offer and close on the day you choose. We buy your home completely as is, no repairs whatsoever. Take the belongings you want and leave the stress and the mess to us. Call or visit grandviewhomes.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The trade deadline is off and running in Major League Baseball, and the Brewers not having a game on Thursday, but they made the headlines nonetheless. General Manager Matt Arnold, the company, making a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates, adding veteran first baseman Carlos Santana for minor leaguer Johnny Severino. The Brewers will get back to work on the field tonight as they are in Atlanta to begin a 3-game set with the first-place Braves. Coverage gets underway right here on WTMJ beginning at 5:45. Over to college football, where Big Ten Media Day was held in Indianapolis on Thursday. Newly hired Badgers head coach Luke Fickell providing a new mentality and a new goal for his Wisconsin program.
We have one objective, and that's to play for a championship. I don't think that'll ever change, whether it's year 1, year 2, 3, 4, or 5. That's what our objective is.
And lastly, over to the NFL, where there's no practice today in Green Bay for the Packers. Day 3 of camp will continue on Saturday morning beginning at 10:30. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. The only problem areas right now, that construction area, I-43 northbound and southbound between downtown and Brown Deer Road. Northbound, it's going to take you about 13 minutes. Southbound, about a 16-minute commute this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mattress, where top-quality mattresses are priced hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Found exclusively at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly sunny, hot, and humid the rest of the afternoon. We could see late afternoon and evening thunderstorms, and some could be severe. Highs this afternoon, 85 lakeside, 93 inland. Showers and storms should end overnight. Patchy fog is possible, an overnight low of 67. Mostly sunny for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, sunny skies with a high 78 both days. Monday, sunny skies with a high of 80. Then Tuesday, mostly sunny, a slight chance of an afternoon or evening shower. High Tuesday, 82. Right now, Madison at 84, Green Bay 78, Milwaukee 82 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1208.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the program. Samantha producing the show today, and always. You don't know this, but I might not be here Monday because, well, on the way into work today, I needed gas, stopped off, filled up the car with gas, and there was just this sign that was flashing in the window of the self-service gas station, and it said Mega Millions. So I normally don't do this, but since I was there, I invested $20. I know it only takes $2, but I had a $20 in Mega Millions. So if you're trying to win it, I wish you luck, but you're going to be competing against me. And here is my deal, Sam. If I win the Mega Millions jackpot, I'm taking you to lunch. I am taking you to lunch. Now, before you think that, what a cheap so-and-so, there's a really nice bistro I know in the south of France. So you and I and Fran, we're going to go to lunch in the south of France. That's the deal. All I have to do is win. But I am playing tonight for the first time and forever. It's just, as we always talk about, I always think it's kind of funny that people say, well, I'm going to wait till it gets really big before I play it. Like winning $500 million would not be life-changing. But I'm all in on this one. $20 in there, so we will see. If I'm not here Monday, well, you know that maybe there's a chance that he won. Yeah, there's always a chance, not a great chance. The theme of at least the first hour of today's program, maybe more, is how staggeringly stupid. I just don't know any other way to describe it. How staggeringly stupid. So I've been debating over the course of the last 10 minutes, do we start off with the local example of staggeringly stupid, or do we start with the national example of staggeringly stupid? Well, on this program, local issues always come first, so we will talk about the local example of staggeringly stupid. And for everybody in the city of Milwaukee who now is going to have to be paying an extra 2% sales tax as the city tries to dig itself out of a financial hole that it has dug itself in through decades of fiscal mismanagement. This is another classic example of it. And it tells me that the people that run this city aren't getting any smarter, and they're not learning from things. So let me back up and let's kind of review the bidding in this story. And I know we're going over ground that we've covered in the past to lead up to today's developments. Northridge Mall, which was, if you grew up in the era that I grew up, you remember Northridge Mall as a thriving mall. It's a 900,000 square foot mall. It opened in 1972. Southridge opened first, and then Northridge opened. And if you were a kid in the 1970s or 80s growing up in Glendale, Wisconsin, like I was, you hung out. Northridge was the place where you went to hang out. There were a ton of restaurants. There was a 6-screen movie theater. There were arcades. There were anchor stores. I mean, it was the place where you would go to hang out. So Northridge was a really, really big deal for a variety of reasons that have been examined, ad infinitum. Some people think it was because of the changing neighborhood caused the clientele at Northridge to change. Some people think that because there was a perception that Northridge was becoming dangerous, you had a lot of suburban shoppers that would no longer go there. Whatever. In the space of 30 years, Northridge went from an incredible shopping center that was thriving to essentially it closed. And it closed in 2003. So Northridge, and for the people who don't know where Northridge is, think 76th and Brown Deer Road, and then a little bit further west on Brown Deer Road. The whole area has just gone into the toilet. Sorry, but that's it. But when Northridge was thriving, there was the shopping center itself. There was a whole ring of restaurants and other stores that surrounded Northridge. Across the street, there was a thriving mall, and pretty much all of that is gone now. So Northridge closes in 2003. What happens is in 2000, I believe it was 6, an operation called Black Spruce comes in, and Black Spruce, their plan with Northridge was, so they bought the property, and their plan was, we are going to turn this into a giant Asian trade mart. M-A-R-T, trade mart. So that's, and we're going to import all sorts of goods for Asia, and this is what we're going to do. That, for a variety of reasons, that has never happened. And it's really never moved beyond here's the plans that we've drawn up, and don't these diagrams and drawings look impressive? And of course, the whole future of retail has changed over the last 20 years. You don't have people building giant enclosed malls anymore. That's just not, matter of fact, giant enclosed malls are closing, and there's not that many of them left across the country. So the idea that, to the extent that they were ever serious about this Asian trade mart, it's no longer economically practical. Moreover, Northridge has been allowed to decline. I mean, it's been vacant for the last 20 years. And you've had, a couple of years ago, you had an electrician who was killed. You've had multiple fires there because kids will break in, set fires. We had the fire chief on, in the last year or so, who was just absolutely outraged at the fact that, the people keep setting fires there, and his people have to go in and try to put out these fires. It's just a complete and total disaster. And this Black Spruce company, in my opinion, they are bad actors. They have not proceeded in good faith. What they would do is, in order to stave off, again, foreclosure, they'd pay taxes at the last minute, and then they'd stop paying taxes. It's just a mess. And the city of Milwaukee has, for the last several years, to their credit, been trying to condemn the buildings, take them over by eminent domain, foreclose on tax liens, you name it. They're trying to do everything they possibly can, and they've been stalled in the courts. Meanwhile, Northridge continues to deteriorate. The city's plan is they want to take it over. They want to raze the buildings, that is R-A-Z-E, tear them down, and then do something with them. Now, the problem is, to tear down Northridge, it's going to cost about $15 million. How can it cost that much? Well, there's asbestos, there's all sorts of things. $15 million. And if anybody hasn't noticed, the city doesn't have any money. The city doesn't have $15 million. The city doesn't have $5. But it's going to cost $15 million to tear this down. But nevertheless, the city says, okay, this is what we want to do, and because we want to start trying to figure out some sort of development. And they've been fought at every step of the way by this Black Spruce operation, which brings me to what happened in the spring. A Milwaukee-based group called Phoenix Investors. And Phoenix Investors is a legitimate, well-thought-of company. And they swoop in at the last minute, and they said, here's what we're willing to do. We want to buy this property from Black Spruce. We want to buy the property. But here's the deal. We want to buy it, and what we want to do, we don't want to tear down the buildings. What we want to do is we want to convert them, and we want to use this space for warehouse. We think that on a light industrial use like this, we want to turn it into warehousing. We will employ people. We will assume the costs. City of Milwaukee, you don't have to worry about coming up with $15 million to tear this down. You don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to market. We're going to employ people. We're going to use these buildings, and we will assume the costs. And to show you good faith, what we're going to do is we'll take over the maintenance of the property. You know, we'll have security guards. We'll stop the break-ins. We will do this. And okay, so it seems like, hey, this is a win-win sort of thing. Into which the gang that couldn't shoot straight, otherwise known as the City of Milwaukee, moves. The City of Milwaukee, and I'm summarizing this a little bit. They decide, well, don't you realize what Northridge was in 1975? Northridge was this thriving shopping center, and you had, dozens, you had hundreds of stores that were out there, and you had all this great retail development was there. And we want that again. We don't want no stinking warehouses that are only going to employ, 100 people. We want to turn this into a giant, retail commercial center like it was in 1975. And so, no, we're not going to go along with rezoning this to allow you to do that. We're not going to drop our court case against the operation, trying to force. We want this torn down. We want to take this over because our grand plan is that we're going to be able to recreate Northridge's former glory or something like that. And whenever we talk to the neighbors would rather have Northridge in 1975 than have warehousing. Well, okay, so the development today is that Phoenix investors, the people that were going to put up their own money to take this over, have finally said no mas. That they announced yesterday that they're terminating their purchase contract with Black Spruce. And the reason is because Milwaukee officials will not drop their raise order for their industrial redevelopment. The head of the company, again, Phoenix Investors is a well-thought-of local company, said that the mayor, Cavalier Johnson's administration, refused to drop the city's demolition order against the building. And they said, look, this is a problem that we can't overcome. We're not interested in spending any more time and energy. We are not going to be re-engaging in this. City officials won't go along with, turning this into warehousing because they want redevelopment that would create meaningful job growth. Now, let me digress for a minute. They want meaningful job growth. Well, good luck with that because there's no realistic opportunity that is going to happen. The other thing that the company said was, look, if we buy this, here's what we want you to do. We want you to drop the effort to try to tear this down. And the fines that the previous owners had gotten, we want you to agree to drop those fines. We want to start fresh. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right. A lot of people say, Jeff, you should really be teeing off on the mayor because of the complete and total inability to deal with crime. Well, I've been trying to give him a chance on that. But I think the phrase staggeringly stupid is the only phrase you can use to describe the city's position. Instead of taking the bird in the hand, a private, well-thought-of local company that has at least a plan for that space, and all they need is rezoning, and they will assume all the costs. Instead of doing that, we have this pie in the sky. Well, no, what we want to do is we want to have retail. We want to have meaningful job growth. But of course, there hasn't been anything on the horizon for the last 25 years that's going to lead to meaningful job growth. But the city has now scared off a buyer with essentially no money to tear down the buildings and no plan moving forward. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I swear this is the day. If you are watching us on the YouTube channel, this is the day that my head might literally explode. Phoenix Investors backs out saying, we're done with this. We're tired of fighting the city. If the city wants that eyesore to stay because they think somehow they can recreate the past glory of Northridge, go with God. 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. The Chiefs of the East take on the Sultans of the Central.
We are the Sultans.
For a first-place battle in Atlanta.
We are the Sultans of Swing.
Hit to right and deep. Get up. Get out of here. Gone for Freeland.
It's the Brewers and the Braves.
His first big league home run.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 5:45. Presented by American Family Insurance. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Watch out. That old deck might cost you more than a weekend of upkeep, painting, staining, or replacing old boards. That old deck on the surface may look awful and quite embarrassing in your pictures. Beyond the surface, that old deck could be a potential hazard waiting to happen. There are many inspection points to know if your deck is ready to support your family and friends for the weekend party, or if you've lost trust and need to replace before the big problems happen to you. Many old decks on single-family homes were built by the weekend warrior or the know-it-all do-it-yourselfer. These are weekend projects rushed to be finished by the Sunday evening deadline, maybe even built with a couple cases of beer nearby. Often steps are skipped, process is lost, or even material looked over to finish the job before work on Monday. We find when replacing these types of decks, they were never securely put together to begin with, resulting in the high risk of failure. Not my deck, people say. We use the right stuff. Meanwhile, they never secured or poorly secured the ledger board to the house, didn't use enough or the right hangers, had the wrong lumber to support the size of the deck, or just plain did a bad job. All of which can result in trip hazards, flashing issues, or worse, problems supporting the weight load of your loved ones. As you entertain your family and friends, be proud of how beautiful your deck looks, as well as how you can show off the cool inspection report knowing everyone is safe because your deck was built by the right people.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for outdoor decks. Also replacement windows, roofing, and of course siding. Take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding, and a whole lot more.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
This reminds me of when Strauss, the meatpacking operation Strauss, wanted to move their facilities into the Century City area on the north side of Milwaukee. And remember, they were going to be bringing a couple hundred jobs into this vacant area that's nothing but a blighted spot. And then, of course, you had the local alderman say, well, I don't want a slaughterhouse there. So Strauss did the same thing. Strauss said, look, if you don't want us there, we're not going to fight this. We don't want to force this. If you don't want us to bring our several hundred well-paying, high-paying jobs into this area and try to revitalize this again blight, okay, fine. We'll move on to Plan B. This is the same sort of thing. It is this short-sighted attitude. Well, this doesn't fit the plan. We want to have high-end retail. We'd like to have a Tiffany's store there. Let's build the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. That's what. Let's build a Ritz-Carlton here, and let's have all this development, and let's have high-rise condos and things like that. Well, this is a blighted area. There's no realistic plan for getting any of those type of businesses in. So first, the city of Milwaukee is going to have to come up with $15 million to tear down the facility. And then once you've spent that, then you're going to have, an empty property in an area that, again, it's not exactly like it is a thriving area. So what businesses are going to invest their money in that? this was incredibly short-sighted. You had the opportunity to have, first of all, no tax dollars have to be involved in tearing down the building, and a company, which is a reputable company that would have been providing not thousands of jobs, but certainly hundreds of jobs that, pay pretty darn well. And it would have at least been something in that particular area that might have then spurred some development. Okay, maybe we need a couple of restaurants, or maybe we need something out there to kind of like service, this business. It might have been the start of something. But now it's back to absolutely ground zero because of the staggeringly stupid machinations of the city of Milwaukee that, we just think that this should be, we want it to be a thriving, retail area. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, if the city said, no, we want to use this space because we want to build a juvenile prison that really is of the size that we need, I'd have a different conversation. But that's not what their plan is. They think they can revitalize this area with a mixed-use sort of thing. They think they can turn it into what the couture is going to be downtown. Well, I have news for the city. 76th and Brown Deer is not the lakefront. 855-616. Jeff, the new construction alone would have created hundreds of jobs. Yes. Jeff, when will you and Milwaukee agree that the new mayor is doing a horrible job? Yeah, of course he's doing a horrible job. Done a horrible job on crime, no ideas at all, and this type of policy, which is incredibly anti-business. Jeff, the northwest side of Milwaukee by Northridge is a shell of what it used to be in the 1980s. It's crime-ridden. There's garbage everywhere. They should just tear it down. Well, the problem is, they got to come up with $15 million of taxpayer money to tear it down. Then there's no other plan. They've turned down what I think is what appears, I believe, to be the only realistic alternative that's come forward in the last 20 years. I mean, this is since Black Spruce has owned this in 2003. There's been little or no interest in this at all. So finally you have, again, it's not a fly-by-night company. It's a reputable local company, Phoenix Investors, that does this at other places around the country. They say, hey, we think we can salvage this. We think the building has good bones, but we're going to spend our own money in doing this. All we need you to do is stop trying to tear down the building, forget about the fines that were being imposed on the former owner, and we'll take it from there, and we'll create jobs. Now, admittedly, again, not as many jobs as Northridge created in 1975, but nobody's got a plan for that. Jeff, between the demolition and the new construction, that alone would have created hundreds of jobs. No question about this at all. Jeff, what do you think the fire chief will say to this mayoral turndown? Right, because since Phoenix came into the picture, they've been assuming the costs of maintaining the property. They've been saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're the ones that are going to preserve it. We're going to put in the surveillance and stuff. And the incidents of vandalism I'm not prepared to say they've been completely eliminated, but I think they might have been, but they've dramatically dropped. Now Phoenix is saying, okay, well, we're done with this. We're not going to spend any more money guarding the property. We're not going to spend any more money doing surveillance. So you're right back where you started, off with this. So this is great. The city wants to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to expand the flop that is the hop, but now we're not going to let this private company take over Northridge. That's it. Jeff, what makes people think that they're going to shop where the new increase in taxes? I, for one, shop in Waukesha County. Well, that's the other factor that's there. But this is a bigger picture, and I guess one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is I used to live. I lived off of 60th and Good Hope. When I was a kid, we'd go to Northridge all the time. I know people who, live or have lived over the years in that area. I remember what that was. But the emphasis and the operative phrase is, I remember what it was. You have to move on. And unfortunately, we've had a lack of leadership when it comes to dealing with this whole Northridge issue. A private company came along, through the taxpayers of the city of Milwaukee a lifeline, and we've just kind of, apparently the city has just said, well, we don't need that. We're not going to do a zoning change. And I get it. The company just finally said, okay, sorry, we're gonna move on. we're just not going to end up dealing with this. So now the problem is back in the lap of the city. They're going to be fighting this in court to try to take control of it. And I assume that they'll win at some point in time, but I can't tell you if that's going to be 3 months from now or 6 months from now or a year from now. And then if they can come up with the money to tear it down, then you're going to have a big empty building or buildings, a big vacant spot that you have no plans to do anything with at all. Good thinking mayor, good thinking common council, good thinking city of Milwaukee administration. Again, staggeringly stupid is the only way to describe this.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Had a rough week? Not to worry. Relax and join Jeff Wagner every Friday at 2:35 for Pop Culture Corner. Brought to you by Palermo's Pizza. Come tell us the best of the best in pop culture, and you could win a prize package from Palermo's.
What is the best movie sequel of all time? Your guilty pleasure on television? I've got a whole long list. Curious to hear from you.
It's Wagner's Pop Culture Corner. Fridays at 2:35 on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses, here to tell you about Built Right's July sale and clearance, including in-stock items and special orders. Look, it is all about your comfort, your style, and your home at Built Right. 4 generations, 95 years strong. Built Right always saves you money. Let me say that again. Built Right always saves you money. The 3rd and 4th generation family members are on hand working in the store along with their amazing team with over 400 years of experience. Thousands of items in stock, plus 500 mattresses and special orders that are much faster in 2023. Built Right has affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses for everyone, from petite to plus size. USA made, small scale, Amish made, real solid wood furniture. Over 48 models of power lift recliners in stock as well. Free in-store design services too. Built Right, voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association's 2023 Retailer of the Year Award. Open Monday through Saturday. They open at 10, they close at 6. Sunday they're closed to be with family. When you get there, be sure to tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
Is your business looking for localized banking solutions? Fifth Third Bank has been looking forward to the future and helping businesses shape what's next for 165 years. And for the last 14 here in Milwaukee, they offer industry-specific expertise, local decision-making capabilities, and extensive experience to help your business succeed. Fifth Third is big enough to provide sophisticated solutions and expert guidance, but also empowered to make local decisions and work from a foundation of strong community connections. Commercial banking value only Fifth Third can deliver. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Looking for a hot ride this summer? Find yours this July at Potawatomi. You could win your share of $400,000 in cash and prizes, or rumble all summer long in one of 4 brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycles. It's the Hot Ride Motorcycle Giveaway this July, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Visit paysbig.com/hot ride for more details. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters said, Jeff, how's that fancy hotel coming along on Fond du Lac Avenue? Same kind of ideals that are working there. Right, it's okay, well, we don't want what's realistic. We don't want what can really be done. We want to do this. And look, part of the problem with Northridge, by the way, is because Northridge has become such an urban cesspool, it's killing the entire area around there. Now, you can argue a chicken and the egg thing. Did the deterioration of the area lead to the demise of Northridge, or did Northridge demise lead to the deterioration of the area? But that's just a gaping wound. And this was at least a lifeline that wouldn't have cost the taxpayers anything, but the city of Milwaukee decides absolutely not. This is the same city of Milwaukee that's apparently considering tearing down I-795. You just look at all the and expanding the hop at a cost of $100 or $200 or $300 million. It is just staggeringly stupid. All these different decisions that are there. And then we wonder, why the city is such a fiscal mess. And for everybody who says, well, I just don't like the fact that we're not going to have to pay a 2% sales tax to keep cops on the street, well, it's because years of fiscal mismanagement lead to this sort of stuff, and decisions like this compound this as well. Speaking of staggeringly stupid, which is the theme for the first hour of today's program, We've talked before in the program about the decision that Anheuser-Busch made with regards to the decision to, promote one of these transgender activists and kind of make her the voice, or at least the face of Bud Light, in an effort to try to, reach out to new audiences, because somebody apparently decided that the, old white guys that were drinking Bud Light, that there weren't enough of them. And the reaction, whether you think that it was overkill or not, it's been a real reaction. And boycotts, generally, whether they're coming from the left or coming from the right, generally don't work. But in the case of this decision to boycott Bud Light, it really has legs, in part because it's an easy decision to make. I mean, it's not like, as the example I've given before, if people were upset with the NFL because of its position on Colin Kaepernick, for example, well, okay, if you're a football fan, it's tough to give up watching football. But if you're upset with Bud Light, for example, all right, it's no big deal. You stop drinking Bud Light, you go drink Miller Lite or Coors Light or Busch Light or whatever. Not Busch Light, that would be the same thing, but Miller Lite or Coors Light or whatever. There's all sorts of other light beers, and that's what's happened. I mean, anecdotally, I've told the story. I've been in Total Wine the last 2 times I've been there. I asked the gal at the checkout thing, are you selling much Bud Light? I said, we used to sell Bud Light. It used to be our #1 seller. Last time I was in there, a woman said, I think, we've sold maybe 1 12-pack in the last 2 weeks. A friend of mine who is a bartender at a number of establishments, I said, hey, anybody still drink Bud Light? And he says, besides the 2 guys that I go with on Sunday afternoons, he said, nobody orders Bud Light anymore. And if there is somebody that orders Bud Light, everybody at the bar looks at them like, what's going on? So you can agree with the boycott, you can disagree with the boycott, but it's real, and it's been going on for a while, and it's hurting them. And it really, again, makes you wonder about, who thought this marketing decision was going to be a good idea. And now here's another shoe that's falling. Bud Light, that the sales are dropping like a rock. I mean, they still sell Bud Light, but year to year, it's down like 25%. Over the 4th of July, they came up with this promotion where they were essentially giving it away for free. You could, buy a 15-pack of beer for $14, and you could get a credit. They'd give you a debit card that covered your entire price. So I mean, they were essentially trying to give it away, and that doesn't seem to be working. So here's the latest announcement. It came out yesterday. Anheuser-Busch is laying off hundreds of positions in its company after Bud Light has lost its spot as the top-selling U.S. beer for a 2nd consecutive month. The company said Wednesday that it's laying off approximately 2% of its workforce. Now, I mean, okay, it's not like they're laying off 20% of their workforce, but they're laying off 2% of their workforce, eliminating these different positions because they're not selling anywhere near as much Bud Light, which, again, goes back to who thought that this particular marketing idea was going to be good, and who could have figured that there might be some sort of backlash? Back with more in just a minute. Another example of staggeringly stupid coming up. Stick around.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. Put it simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle until I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
Thrifters can spot great deals from a mile away. And here the term great deal is an understatement. The lowest prices on men's, women's, and children's clothing, toys, furniture, housewares, jewelry, and accessories, bikes, books, games, and more. And every time you're here, you'll find something new. So if you're thrifty, you'll find this place is pretty nifty. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent.
St. Paul. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. Would you like your employees to be better leaders, improved critical thinkers, and become more self-aware? LAK Group's coaching services can help. Their coaching has led to impressive, sustainable organizational change, and it's founded on the International Coaching Federation's core principles, aligning individual performance to the needs of your company. Find out how LAK Group's coaching can help you. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Well, this is where you want to start a business. Milwaukee homicide. Motorcyclist struck by gunfire. Milwaukee police are investigating a homicide that occurred on Friday near 37th and Villard. It happened at 4 a.m. Police say the suspect fired shots at a motorcyclist, striking him and causing him to crash. The victim, a 45-year-old Milwaukee man, sustained fatal gunshot injuries. So the shooting gallery continues. So this is, okay, so that was, overnight. Then, of course, you've got, Milwaukee, fatal shooting, 21st and Burnham, man dead. 39-year-old man is dead following a shooting Thursday, July 27th near 21st and Burnham in Milwaukee. It happened around 11:45 p.m. So that's 2 dead in 2 different incidents. Then you've got shots fired into vehicles near 5th and Beecher. So we're kind of covering the whole ground of the city here. Police were called to shots fired near 5th and Beecher on Thursday. Officials said a person in the vehicle was firing shots at another vehicle, striking several occupied and unoccupied vehicles. Honest to goodness. You would describe violence in the city of Milwaukee right now as being the Wild Wild West. But as I've said before, that would be an insult to the Wild Wild West. It used to be that at least at the Wild Wild West, maybe it would be high noon and you'd have the people that would face off and, they'd do the quick draw type of thing. But here, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night, you've got people that are shooting at motorists. You've got people that are shooting at cars, hitting occupied cars, hitting unoccupied cars. The level of violence is just astounding. And yet you have lots of people who continue to be in denial about this. Okay. Staggeringly stupid story 2, 3, 4. Donald Trump. The news yesterday was the special prosecutor has returned a superseding indictment. What that means is a grand jury had initially returned an indictment, and this has to do with his retention of classified documents that he wasn't allowed to have in the first place. So this is a superseding indictment, which means the same grand jury that heard the evidence now has issued additional charges based on this. And apparently, at least according to the allegations, this is another head scratcher. Let me describe how the New York Times reports this, but I think it is a fair account of what the allegations are. Apparently, one of the new defendants is a guy named Carlos de Oliveira, who was worked for Trump for 20 years. Started out as his car valet. Wouldn't it be nice to have a car valet? And now is the property manager at Mar-a-Lago. So prosecutors have been investigating him for months. Concerned, among other things, by his communications with an information technology expert at Mar-a-Lago who oversaw the surveillance camera footage at the property. The footage was central to the investigation into whether another co-defendant at Trump's request had moved boxes in and out of a storage room at Mar-a-Lago to avoid complying with a federal subpoena for classified documents. See, once the federal government, or state government, once you get a subpoena for stuff, if you start trying to destroy records or things like that, it's a big deal. It's obstruction of justice. The indictment said that in late June of last year, shortly after the government demanded the surveillance footage of what was going on at Mar-a-Lago, because they have cameras, and so it apparently documents who's doing what with the boxes. Shortly after the government demanded the surveillance footage as part of its inquiry, Mr. Trump called Mr. de Oliveira, this is the guy who's the property manager, and they spoke for 24 minutes. 2 days later, the indictment said that Mr. de Oliveira went to a security guard booth where surveillance video is displayed on monitors, walked with a flashlight through the tunnel where the storage room where this stuff was located, and observed and pointed out surveillance cameras. A few days after that, he went to see the security guy, the IT guy on the property, took him to a small room known as an audio closet. There, the indictment says the two men had a conversation that was meant to remain between the two of them. It was then that De Oliveira told the IT guy that the boss wanted the server deleted, referring to the computer server holding the security footage. The IT guy said, no, I'm not going to do that. He said, I don't know how to delete the server. And moreover, I don't think I have the right to do it. At that point in time, De Oliveira said again that the boss wanted the server deleted. What are you going to do? 2 months later, after the FBI descended on Mar-a-Lago with a search warrant and hauled away these classified documents, people started becoming concerned about the loyalty of De Oliveira. Someone just wanted to make sure Carlos is good. Carlos is the guy who has now been indicted in connection with this. In response, the indictment said that De Oliveira was loyal and would not do anything to affect his relationship with Mr. Trump. So, again, what you have here is a situation where the subpoena comes out, and at least the allegations are, instead of simply complying with it, the plan is, all right, let's go and see if we can delete all the video evidence of what we have been doing with this stuff over the course of the last year or so. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. How does this all end? I mean, how does this all end? You've got the New York charges against Donald Trump. You've got the federal charges regarding now obstruction of justice. You've got the likelihood that in Georgia, sometime in the next couple of weeks, they're going to be indicting Trump for election, trying to, improperly affect the count in Georgia. And you've still got the whole January 6th thing, which in all likelihood is going to lead to indictment. It is entirely possible that within the next month or so, the former president of the United States is going to be looking at 4 separate criminal indictments, any one of which could lead him to being incarcerated. So how does this all turn out? And meanwhile, for Trump's perspective, he says, nope, I'm going to continue to campaign. I'm not going anywhere. And the campaign is less and less about what the future of the country is going to be. It's more about elect me so I don't go to prison. How does this turn out? What is the end game here? 855-616-1620. I've got a theory, but I'd like to hear what you think. How does this all work out at the end? We discuss in just a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
It's Samantha with Heiser. Amp up your summer fun and adventures with the all-new 2024 Toyota Highlander Grand, which is available now. Or choose from one of our other amazing vehicles that are on lot and ready to go. Plus, receive the exclusive Safe and Sound program on any vehicle you choose. This includes the Vehicle Exchange Program. Don't love it? Exchange it. Stop in or visit HeiserToyota.com. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details. Text out a license, $3.99 service fees, and security deposit extra at $731.23.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Arlington Park Cemetery. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
4141 South 27th Street, Greenfield, Wisconsin, 53221.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
For your new roof, we'll give you the hands-down best lifetime workmanship warranty in the industry. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi. Hey, boaters!
At Kendor Marine, we have everything you could want, think of, or wish for your boat. We're committed to making sure you always have a place to fulfill every boating need that you have. And if you ask around, you'll find out our prices always beat the other guys. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And hey, boaters love shopping here. How do I know? Well, most times it's because they tell me, Dave, I love shopping here. But other times it's because they tell you. If you need a reason to come here, just check out our online reviews. They tell the whole story. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You know, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And this whole thing, the latest charges against Trump with regard to, if, again, you got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, but it sounds like they've got this one nailed pretty cold. Okay, so the feds issue a subpoena. You know, we want the records. You know, there's cameras. We want to see what's going on. And the response to that subpoena is, okay, let's try to destroy those records. That's Watergate type of stuff. That's the stuff that brought Nixon to, you know, his demise. If Nixon would have just, and I've always believed this, if Nixon would have just simply, once he found out about the Watergate break-in, fired everybody who was involved in doing this and come clean, he would have still won re-election overwhelmingly, and he would have never been forced to resign. But no, he engaged in this sort of cover-up that's there. This is the same thing, and it is a completely self-inflicted wound. But at some point in time, and I say this to people who are likely Republican voters, when is enough enough? I mean, seriously, I still believe that the Republicans, and I understand there's 20% of the electorate or of the Republican voters who believe that Trump can do no wrong and all that, but at some point in time, you know, don't we want the election to be about the future and what the world is going to look like in 2025 and 2026 and 2027, as opposed to, you know, somebody who's going to be fighting various criminal charges for different types of behavior. Jeff, I'll admit I'm a never Trumper, so I'm at my wit's end trying to understand the point of why somebody is still willing to vote for Donald Trump. There are multiple people running in the Republican Party who would do the same thing for the conservative mindset. Why won't they give up on Trump? I do not have a good answer for that. And I think, you know, that's going to be what's going to happen moving forward. I continue to believe that Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee. How exactly that's going to happen, I don't know. But seriously, this idea, and it's once this whole document charge, it's a self-inflicted wound. And it continues to be, you know, one of the huge mysteries of you take all these boxes of records, and then once you get a demand to return them, why don't you just give the stuff back? Why would you go down this route to begin with? And now you're looking at obstruction of justice and all these other sort of things. This was something completely and totally avoidable. And yet Donald Trump finds himself in the middle of this yet again. And I understand there's people who think he's going to be elected in 2024, to which I say, no way. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
Yelich bounces one to right. It's a base hit, and the Brewers win.
Every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
The expectations are this, that guys go out there and compete to the best of their ability each and every day and embrace this grind.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
You are a guaranteed winner with Siding Unlimited, Wisconsin's best contractor for your home's beauty and defense. Siding Unlimited is siding, of course, but so much more. Windows, roofing, decks. Siding Unlimited is recognized as the MVP in all those areas by customers and suppliers alike. You want major league work done on your house, so start by contacting Siding Unlimited. SidingUnlimited.com.
Wisconsin State Fair discounted tickets are on sale now at wistatefair.com. Admission to the State Fair includes free concerts on the Bank 5-9 Amphitheater, like Journey Unauthorized, Hairbangers Ball, Great White, and back for 2 nights, Here Come the Mummies. Discounted State Fair tickets end July 28th, so don't delay.
Wisconsin, great state of Wisconsin, State
There's
Fair.
something for everyone at the Wisconsin State Fair, presented by U.S. Cellular August 3rd through the 13th.
This is Protection, the everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Off, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand, SC Johnson.
Hurt by a truck? Call Gruber offices. One call, that's all.
Brookfield GMC has document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, all bundled under the James Managed Print Services program. Brookfield GMC controller Jay Doyle.
They can track where the printer supplies are, the toner supply is getting down or low, and then they'll ship us a new toner.
And there's more. James Imaging Systems Managed Print Services also includes parts and service.
Exactly, yes. We had a fuser go out in one of our printers, and they came out and replaced that right away. So repair and our supplies are maintained.
Managed Print Services from James Imaging Systems. All your document output devices, service, supplies, and parts wrapped up in one low monthly invoice. Now that's a good value.
It's a big value because of all the services.
Managed Print Services from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700. James Imaging Systems, your local office technology partner.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Smuggler's Blues. Glenn Fry, love it. One of our texters says, well, I know you're required to do 20 minutes of Trump trashing every day, but you really should discuss the sweetheart deal that Hunter Biden is getting. Well, that was a half hour on the program yesterday, but it's this equivalency. Well, Hunter Biden's a sleaze. Yes, Hunter Biden is a sleazy grifter who should be behind bars. Yes, we talked about that yesterday. But Donald Trump is a danger to this country. He is irresponsible. He is reckless. And I do not for the life of me understand what it is about Donald Trump that devotes to such loyalty. He's going to be looking at 4 separate criminal indictments. And this is somebody that you want to vote for to be the next president of the United States when there are a number of other alternatives that don't have the recklessness, that don't have the baggage, that don't have the chaos. It is absolutely beyond me. When we come back, they're just too darn old. Stick around.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A couple years ago, my knee was acting up. As an athlete, I've played through pain before, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't compete in the sports I loved. I decided to check out Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's the best decision I've made. I felt no pressure to have surgery. That was important to me. We had choices. I ultimately did choose to have a procedure. I was in and out in just hours and back in action shortly after. I recommend meeting their doctors. Visit orthowisconsin.com today.
Are you a veteran who needs assistance?
Do you know a veteran who needs help? The Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs is here for Wisconsin veterans, their families, and their survivors. We can help connect veterans with services such as medical care, financial and legal assistance, housing, mental health services, substance use treatment, and more. For more information, please visit wisvets.com. That's WIS vets.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, with funding provided by the Milwaukee Brewers and the Brewers Community Foundation.
I hope they're brave enough to face us another 3 games after less than a week.
And Tyrone, a high drive, left field, Benson back, track, gone!
The Brewers are in Atlanta against the Braves, with coverage starting today at 5:45 on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
1 o'clock, we have 84 degrees in Milwaukee. It's going to be sunny, hot, and humid the rest of the afternoon with late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Highs 85 to 93. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Yet another prospective buyer for the abandoned Northridge Mall site on Milwaukee's north side has walked away.
After Phoenix Investors LLC seemingly had reached an agreement to purchase the abandoned property from the city of Milwaukee, the group's founder and chairman Frank Crivello saying they've walked away from the deal after the company failed to come to an agreement with the city. Milwaukee Business Journal editor-in-chief Mark Cass tells WTMJ how he believes the agreement fell apart.
It was a matter of they weren't seeing eye to eye kind of on the use. They wanted it more for warehousing. The city wanted more jobs there. So now the argument could be, well, you have no jobs there now.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Former President Trump denies any wrongdoing after he was hit with more charges in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. In a radio interview today, the former president said he believed he wasn't required to hand over the tapes, but did so anyway. He accuses the Justice Department of trying to intimidate his employees to make up lies about him. As more than 50 million Americans remained under an historic scorching temperatures and dangerous weather conditions this weekend, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre didn't respond to a question on board Air Force One today about whether the president would consider declaring a climate emergency in the wake of increasing heat concerns, instead touting the president's legislative victories to address climate concerns during his administration.
The president has been very clear about what climate change is doing, that we're in a climate crisis. The Inflation Reduction Act was incredibly important as we look at investments to really deal with the climate crisis.
Today's weather here could be stormy. Here's Storm Team 4 meteorologist Brendan Johnson.
There's a question as to whether or not they develop to our north and move to the south or develop right overhead and move into Illinois. Regardless, we've got heat, we've got humidity, instability, and the atmosphere is going to cooperate here to produce some pretty strong storms if everything can come together.
Your complete 5-day forecast coming up in less than 5 minutes. The Brewers believe they are a postseason team and may not be done trying to get better.
Good first start, getting a good first baseman.
That's Brewers President of Business Operations, Rick Schlesinger, on Wisconsin's Morning News. Schlesinger expects GM Matt Arnold is working on other possible trades.
We're in a position where we want to get in the postseason and do some damage in the postseason. We need to, improve the Major League team now.
The Major League Baseball trade deadline is next week, Tuesday. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Facebook, Instagram, and now Threads parent Meta plans to boost retention on its new text-based social media platform. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the company plans to institute what he calls hooks to keep Threads users engaged for longer periods of time, which, in theory, would encourage users to make the platform part of their daily routine. Zuckerberg says new features are coming, like a desktop version of Threads and a search bar. Time for news about your money. Now in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, the Dow is up 151 points, the Nasdaq is up 253, and the S&P 500 is up 39. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
I'd been living with a snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me, saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Mudden Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by Big Box Healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Hi there, it's Jim Griffin. Whether you're a new or existing customer residing on the northwest or south side of town, we got you covered with Griffin Sizzlin' Service Specials. For just $129.95, get your oil changed, tires inspected and rotated, battery and air filter checked, multi-point inspection done, AC checked, and even your wiper blades changed. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Grab our Sizzlin' Summer Specials for just $129.95, good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee has partnered with the iconic musical duo of Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons from world-renowned rock band Kiss to bring their newest hit to town, Rock and Brews Restaurant. On August 1st, rock and roll over to Potawatomi for the grand opening of Rock and Brews and satisfy your need for great food, great music, and most importantly, a great time. For more details, visit paysbig.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The trade deadline is off and running in Major League Baseball, and the Brewers not having a game on Thursday, but they made the headlines nonetheless. General Manager Matt Arnold and company making a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates, adding veteran first baseman Carlos Santana for minor leaguer Johnny Severino. The Brewers will get back to work on the field tonight as they are in Atlanta to begin a 3-game set with the first-place Braves. Coverage gets underway right here on WTMJ beginning at 5:45. Over to college football, where Big Ten Media Day was held in Indianapolis on Thursday. Newly hired Badgers head coach Luke Fickell providing a new mentality and a new goal for his Wisconsin program.
We have one objective, and that's to play for a championship. I don't think that'll ever change, whether it's year 1, year 2, 3, 4, or 5. That's what our objective is.
And lastly, over to the NFL, where there's no practice today in Green Bay for the Packers. Day 3 of camp will continue on Saturday morning beginning at 10:30. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. The slow spots on the area freeways right now, I-43 both north and southbound, downtown to Brown Deer Road and back. Normally about an 11-minute drive. Northbound's going to take you about 15 minutes. Southbound about a 20-minute delay this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Veterans benefits denied? Call Tayback for the payback.
Call Tayback for the payback. Tayback Law is the local veterans benefit claims law firm. They're now accepting Camp Lejeune claims. Call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast: sunny, hot, and humid with late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Those storms will end tonight. Patchy fog is possible overnight with a low 67. Sunny tomorrow and Sunday. Highs both days 78. Monday, Sunday with a high of 80. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a slight chance of an afternoon or evening shower and a high of 82. Madison right now 86. Green Bay 81. And Milwaukee 84 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Keeping track of stuff. The Brewers, who are in the thick of a pennant race, they're a game and a half ahead of Cincinnati. And actually, the Brewers' big series against Atlanta coming up. Atlanta, I don't know if they have the best record in baseball, but they've got the best record in the National League. And, they've been in a stretch of games where they're playing, top teams. Once they get past this weekend series in Atlanta, the schedule lightens up for a little bit. Now, of course, I understand this is the same Brewers team that lost, 3 games in a row to Oakland earlier this year, which was the, I think, probably about the worst team in baseball. But after this, they play, it gets a little bit better. They play the Chicago White Sox, who aren't any good. They play the Washington Nationals, who aren't any good. They play the Pittsburgh Pirates, who aren't any good. Still got to win the games. But after you get past this series with Atlanta, the schedule eases up a little bit. And I think the Brewers have a definite chance to make the playoffs. What they do in the playoffs is a different kind of question. I think this move to pick up the first baseman, Carlos Santana, is a good move. The first base has been just a mess for the Brewers this year. Rowdy Tellez, who is a crowd favorite, but Rowdy Tellez, who's hurt right now, but before he got hurt, he was just awful. I mean, just awful. He's hitting 213, 11 home runs. That's not getting it done. You can't have a first baseman that's hitting 213. After in Telez's absence, they brought in Owen Miller, who's a local guy, and he played really well in May. But since then, he's been awful. He strikes out about 25% of the time. He's only hit one home run in that span. They need to get some production out of first base. And Carlos Santana, I mean, he's 37 years old, so he's clearly on the downside of his career. But everybody says he's still an above-average defensive first baseman, and he can hit a little bit. So they're desperately, trying to increase production at a key spot. And so I think it is a good pickup. The other interesting thing about this move is, for those of you who are baseball fans, it kind of tells me that the Brewers really don't have any interest in bringing Keston Hiura back up. Keston Hiura, of course, has been a couple years ago, he was viewed as this prodigy, and he came up, and he's a defensive liability. They brought him up as a second baseman, and he really couldn't play there. Then they started trying him in the outfield, and he couldn't play there. Then they brought him to first base, and he's really not a very good first baseman, but they brought him up to hit. The problem is that he strikes out a lot when he gets to the major leagues. Now, he's having a really good year for the Brewers in the minors, but they've been unwilling to bring him up. So apparently they don't think that he is their answer as designated hitter or as a first baseman. Now, that's not to say that they might, get desperate and try to bring him up later on in the season. But at least right now, they've decided to go the trade route and bringing in Carlos Santana. So I think it's probably a good move. Okay. They're just so old. The latest stories this week, Mitch McConnell, who is the Republican Senate leader, he froze. I don't know if you saw this. He was speaking to Congress, and it was this really uncomfortable thing where he's 81 years old. He was at a news conference on Wednesday, and he just stopped talking mid-sentence and stood mutely for, it was 23 seconds, but it seemed like an eternity. And then ultimately his aides come running up and they lead him away from reporters. And then he comes back a while later and says, "I'm fine." It's one thing for people to pause or I lost my train of thought or whatever. That happens all the time. But this wasn't that. This was like deer in the headlights, just frozen as if, nobody's home. And it lasted for like 30 seconds, and the aides have to bring him off. He's 81. Dianne Feinstein, who, of course, is pushing 90 and has had a number of examples of where she's clearly not with it. I don't think anybody can make that argument. Well, she was in this committee hearing this week, and it was time to vote. The question was, how do you vote on this, yay or nay? And instead of just voting for this, she starts to make this speech. And the time for making speeches was, earlier. But she starts to make this speech. And again, everybody's really uncomfortable as she starts to make a speech about this. And you have an aide running up to her and kind of whispering to her, "Just say yes. Just say yes." To which she then says, "Oh, well, I guess I'm just supposed to say yes." So she says yes. It's very clear nobody's home. And I'm not taking anything away from whatever success that Senator Feinstein might have had and accomplishments she might have had over the years. But she's just too darn old, and she's refusing to step down until, the next election, which means that she's going to be in office for another year and a half. The stuff with Mitch McConnell is scary. Not to mention, the elephant in the room, Joe Biden. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, a liberal or a conservative. You watch Joe Biden, and it is very, very clear that his skills are deteriorating. And that's not a criticism. It is not something that's uncommon. But he's, 80 or 81 years old, would be 82 if he were reelected. His life expectancy, if you do the charts, it probably has it at the age of 84, which, again, look, what do the people know? But you watch him. He shuffles. He's very, very slow in some cases to pick up stuff. He's 80-some years old. And I think anybody who's dealt with, older parents or older grandparents, you understand that as time goes on, no matter how successful people are and how accomplished they are, age takes its toll. It's why lots and lots of businesses have mandatory retirement ages, 65 or 70 at the outset, because, again, they start to recognize that after a certain point, it's just time to pack it up. But there's a story, there's a piece by Kathleen Parker in the Washington Post today it talks about Potomac fever and about how these people come into power and then just can't give it up. Biden, of course, is the most prominent example of that. This is somebody who's been in politics since he was in his 20s and just absolutely can't personally stand the thought of giving up power. You can make the same argument if we want to be bipartisan about Mitch McConnell. You can certainly make that argument about Dianne Feinstein. They get Potomac fever. They want to. They have this political power, and they just refuse to give it up, even though they are well past their sell-by dates. Our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Some people think term limits. I'm not a term limits guy. I think the voters get to decide things. I do believe, though, that there should be age limits. And I have always firmly believed that, and I think 75 is that magic number. At the age of 75, you should not be permitted to run for elective federal office, whether it's Congress, Senate, or President. You shouldn't be allowed to run for office after you've hit 75. If you're elected to a 6-year term when you're 73, yes, I think you should get to serve out your term. But that would make sure that pretty much by the time people hit 80, they're moving on to whatever comes next in their career. 855-616-1620. Do we need age limits? And again, I make this as a bipartisan thing. It scares me that somebody like Joe Biden could get reelected president because of his age and the fact that he is clearly failing. It scares me that Dianne Feinstein is in the Senate. You can make the same argument against, again, Mitch McConnell. You watch this and you go, he just froze. I mean, was the man having a stroke or whatever? And you don't wish harm on these people, but can't we do better? Age limits. What do you think? 855-616-1620. And I understand whenever I talk about this, some people say, well, this is just so ageist. Look, I'm a lot closer to 75 than I am to 35. That's just kind of the reality. But at some point in time, don't we need to say enough is enough? Thank you for your service. It's now time. Go enjoy however much time the good Lord's going to give you, continue to give you on this earth. But you don't need to be carrying around the nuclear football when, all right, you've got a restricted schedule because they can't put you to work before 10 in the morning and, 3:30 or so is it. 855-616-1620. We discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. At Creative Planning, we have an entire team working for you, including wealth advisors, CPAs, and attorneys, all working together, all in one place. Let Creative Planning show you a richer way to wealth. Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics are in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, and there have been thousands of patients that have received our pain relief treatment with zero out-of-pocket expense. Our FDA-approved treatments we'll use to remedy your pain are precisely guided to its root, to provide inflammation and cushioning relief to alleviate pain. What ends up happening is you begin on a pain maintenance plan, and how committed you want to be to alleviating your pain is up to you. But at the least, you can see us semi-annually to annually to, in many cases, significantly reduce pain in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really. Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself, but she's not following your directions?
Sit. Sit.
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
While the warm weather has you feeling like new, get old with a money market account from Old National Bank and earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield. Whether you're saving up for something big or just for a rainy day, Old National is here for you. Earn 5.00% APY with our limited time 12-month introductory money market offer. To earn the promotional rate, account must be funded with a minimum of $10,000 not on deposit at Old National as of April 14th, 2023. Learn more at oldnational.com or visit a local banking center today. Member FDIC. Old National Bank. Get old.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, so here's what Kathleen Parker writes, in it talking about how we've got to move on from these people who are just too darn old. And it's a bipartisan thing. She says, Exhibit A, President Biden, who's never held a real job since he was elected to the Senate in 1972, that's 51 years ago, has said he won't step away from the 2024 election despite frequent bumbles and many supporters' advice to do so because he believes the world needs him. How does the saying go? Graveyards are filled with indispensable people. McConnell, who was first elected to the Senate in 1984, so about 40 years, has served 16 years as the body's Republican leader, lasted longer than most. However, when he went blank for an uncomfortable 30 seconds on Wednesday while gripping the lectern and staring into the middle distance, colleagues helped move him away. Anyone witnessing his stare might have thought he was suffering a stroke. Within minutes, he returned to the mic and joked that he was fine. The medical explanation might be unknown, but clearly this wasn't nothing. It's fair to ask us to watch. We feel your pain even if you don't. Senator McConnell's brain stepped out for a stroll and very likely will again. And he and others of advanced years, he's 81, have a duty to their country, not to mention their families, to walk away when they can still do so with dignity, to which I say amen. Whether it's Mitch McConnell or Dianne Feinstein or Joe Biden. And the only way I guess you can force this, because these people have this Potomac fever, is to do what I'm talking about, which is to say, okay, after and you can pick a different time. If you think 75 is the wrong number, that's kind of the one I've settled on. But after 75, you cannot run for office again. You can, if you're in office, you can serve out that term, but you cannot run for office again. 855-616-1620. Bill in Merton. Bill, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What do you think?
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
I believe that the 75 age limit is about correct. And if you think of it real simplistically, if we had it in place now, we wouldn't be going through all of the controversy that we are now.
Right, because Trump is 78, right? Trump is no spring chicken himself, or he will be 78. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks for your call. Again, right, and by the way, this is bipartisan. I mean, this isn't. Look, be realistic. You can't look at Joe Biden and be comfortable with this. Clearly, and look, you can say he's done all sorts of great things, and he was the guy that got Donald Trump out of office, if that's how you want to approach it. So that's going to be his legacy. But, I mean, seriously, he's 82 years old, and he is clearly declining. And he's got aides that are trying to do everything they can to possibly cover that up and hide it from the general public, but he is clearly in decline. This, being president of the United States or being a U.S. senator, that is a job that requires a degree of vigor. Now, I got a couple texters making the point that, it is true that you can, and I have a friend who's going through some health issues now, but very, very vigorous in his up to his mid-80s. Now he's been dealing with some significant health issues. But even I remember having conversations, he says, look, I can tell that I'm slipping. I shouldn't be the president of the United States in my mid-80s. Let's talk to Bill in Racine. Bill, you're on WTMJ.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
You know the two guys. One of them is Paul and one of them is Scott. And they're both a heck of a lot younger than that, don't you know? And are they waiting in the weeds? Are they standing back and seeing what we can do?
Well, Well, you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for calling, Bill. I mean, you're talking about Paul Ryan and Scott Walker. Look, I don't know. Again, there's all sorts of people on the left and the right. This I don't want to make this about politics. I want to make it about reality and the future of the country. And I guess the best example I can give is, like I said, there's a lot of big law firms. There's a lot of very, very successful businesses, and they have rules. And it's an up or out. Once you hit 65 or 67 or 70 or whatever, you have to move on. Nobody says that means that you have to, I don't know, head into an assisted living facility and play bingo for the rest of your life. But it means that, okay, it's time to clear the way so somebody younger can come in, more vigorous, and can do the job. And look, I also understand that you can say, well, I know somebody in their 70s that are a lot more vigorous than somebody in their 50s. I get it. But let's be honest. As time goes on, our skills deteriorate. And especially in these corridors of power, look, if you're 82 years old, there is no reason in God's green earth other than simply hubris and ego and arrogance that you're saying, well, I want to run for another term. It's, if you were going to be responsible, it would be, okay, I'm going to step down. I've done what I've wanted to accomplish, and now I want to pass the torch to my chosen successor, and I'm going to do everything I can to campaign for him or her or whoever that is. That would be the responsible sort of thing to do, instead of trying to cling on to power well past your sell-by date. But the problem is these politicians aren't going to do it, and the reality is, because we are so tribalized and because elections are not necessarily competitive, look, a Democrat's not going to win Kentucky. A Republican's not going to win California. So Dianne Feinstein, if Dianne Feinstein wanted to run for re-election, she would probably win, because, Republicans not going to beat her, and you're not going to get people who are going to challenge her in her own party. So we have this system that creates this mess. And I would apply, like I say, apply it across the board. You can argue with me. Maybe you think it should be 70, up or out. Maybe you think it should be 80, although I think that's kind of old. I actually like my idea, 75, you can't run again. And then, you get to serve out your term. I would also say the same thing about federal judges and things of the like, but that's another conversation. But I'm just telling you, you watch what's been going on in D.C., they're just too darn old. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. Couldn't make it to the game?
Here, try this.
If you live in Milwaukee, Racine, Waukesha, Ozaukee, or Washington County,
Get up! Get up! Get out of here and gone!
you can stream Bob Uecker and the Brewers on your phone, tablet, or computer.
Struck him out looking.
Using the WTMJ app or at WTMJ.com.
A little different from when you played, Uke. Yeah, those big old payphones we had. Ah, man.
Radio Guy Emeritus Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. Enjoy summer while it lasts, folks, because you know it's coming down the pike. Cold weather and high heating bills. It's not too soon to start thinking about new windows and doors from Hometown. They have options that fit every home, every style, and every budget, even yours. Their huge New Berlin showroom has the area's largest display of replacement windows, doors, and patio doors from national brands like Anderson, Pella, Marvin, Softline, and more. In wood, Fibrix, fiberglass, and vinyl, with scads of features including, wonder of wonders, blinds inside the glass. What's more, Hometown offers you dedicated project consultants with products installed by Hometown's own employee carpenters. Stop in today or call 414-329-1200 or go to hometownwindows.com. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Our text line just absolutely swamped with responses, and I think most people agree with the basic, my basic premise that there needs to be age limits. You know, some people saying the age should be 70, others like mine, it's 75. I mean, I think, you know, this is it's kind of an up or out sort of situation there. And again, nobody's saying that you can't do different things. All right, you're Joe Biden, and you decide that, you know, you don't want to write your book. You don't want to, sit on the beach. Okay, you don't want to play golf. That's okay. Well, then drive your Corvette, or go teach somewhere or something like that. I mean, there's all sorts of things, niches that you might be able to find. Volunteer at a food bank or something. There's all sorts of things that you can do. But is that really? Are we comfortable with you being the leader of the free world? And the answer is no. And I think Ronald Reagan was the greatest president of my lifetime. But let's be honest. Reagan, who was a lot younger than Joe Biden is, Reagan was deteriorating in his second term. And, you had the early onset of Alzheimer's. And for people who have seen the effects of aging, and like I say, everybody, it's tough to generalize. But one of the things, and my guess is you have perhaps seen this with your grandparents or seen this with your parents, there is, sometimes it's slow progression, but other times it's like falling off a cliff, and it's like, wow. All of a sudden, in a short period of time, people start to go downhill, again, because of the effects of aging. It is, maybe you've got somebody who's just actually the Superman or Superwoman, and this doesn't happen to them. But the reality is, I think if you put, most people who were in their mid-70s or older on a lie detector and said, hey, I know you'd like to be the leader of the free world, but, do you think that your cognitive skills and your reflexes and all this stuff has deteriorated over the last 20 years? And I think almost everybody, if they were honest, would say, yes, that's just kind of the reality. My guess is if you're in your 60s, and, Samantha, I hate to tell you this, but this is it. When you're in your 60s, your reflexes are not going to be what they were when you were in your 20s. And your eyesight probably isn't going to be that. It's just one of these inevitable things that comes with aging. Hey, there's a story that's getting a lot of traction in the national press. And, of course, the local newspaper has picked up on it big time because it's a chance to bash Republicans. To me, this is a story, it's one where I think everybody is wrong. And it involves U.S. Congressman Derek Van Orden, he's a Republican, was elected last year to replace Ron Kind, who was the Democrat. And the Democrats absolutely hate the fact that this was a Republican pickup. And so Van Orden is one of the targets, the national targets. They're trying to beat him up in the La Crosse area. Van Orden has a very, very interesting background. He's a former Navy SEAL. He is unapologetically conservative. And again, he's got this huge target on his back by the National Democrats. He's also a guy who speaks his mind. So if you haven't seen the story, what happens is the other night he's taking a group. He's leading a tour group on a late night tour. This is after midnight of the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday. So he's walking people through the Capitol, and he comes into the Senate Rotunda, and he sees a bunch of pages, and these are high school kids that are in, working for the summer, as pages in the Senate. And apparently they're like laying all over the rotunda. So he's in there with a group of people, and he just sees these kids laying all over the rotunda, and some are on their backs, like taking pictures up, and he yells at them, and he curses at them. He tells them to get the blank off the floor using a word that he shouldn't use. Now, these are pages who are supposed to be working. He calls them lazy, and it's another word that you can't say on the, on the radio. And he screams at these kids, and he curses at them for like laying around on the rotunda when they're supposed to be, working, and they're laying on their back and stuff. And he says, this is the Senate. This is the Senate rotunda, for goodness sakes. And this was during Abraham Lincoln, this building served as a hospital for people who got injured in the Civil War and things like that. And I think you're disrespecting that. And he screams at the kids. And so one of the kids doesn't like being screamed at and cursed at, so goes public with this. And now this is this story that's out there. Well, he cursed at the kids. So interestingly, and this is classic Congressman Van Orden, they go to him, and he says, yeah, you're darn right. I yelled at these people. I'm not going to apologize for this at all. I think that what they were doing was wrong, and they shouldn't have been doing this, and they shouldn't have been laying around. This, to me, is one of those situations where I don't think anybody is right. First of all, I think he is correct. I understand that. You're a congressman, and you come in and you see these teenagers that are lying on the floor of the Senate rotunda when they're, again, supposed to be working or whatever. They're just like laying on the floor. It's kind of like, really? I mean, it would never occur to me to, I don't know, go into the Supreme Court, for example. If I was a page in the Supreme Court or something like that, or clerk in the Supreme Court, wouldn't occur to me to say, hey, I'm going to lay on one of the benches here or things like that. So I understand his frustration at this. At the same time, there are right ways and wrong ways to reprimand people, and screaming at the kids and using bad language and directing at these high school kids, I think that's probably unbecoming a congressman. So candidly, I look at this story. I'm not sure it's going to get all sorts of national play. I don't know that it's going to hurt him in his district. But to me, I don't think anybody's right. It strikes me that these kids were in the wrong for doing what they're doing. But at the same time, if the congressman decided that he wanted to correct them, there's all sorts of ways that you can correct them other than telling them to get the blank up and calling them lazy, and again, using a word that we can't say on the radio. If you're discouraged with distressed with this, you can tell them to stand up or whatever without cursing at them. And, or you go to whoever's in charge of the Senate pages and says, I was leading this tour group, and, these kids are just laying all over this. And, is that really what we want to allow them to do? There's all sorts of ways you could deal with it. I'm not saying he handled that the best way, but again, this is one of these cases where it strikes me that I think everybody is probably wrong in this. It's going to get a lot of attention, like I say, because Van Orden is one of the top targets in the country for congressional seats to try to flip. So this is going to be portrayed as, here's this guy is sort of out of control. Don't know that it indicates that, but it is going to get a lot of attention. And like I say, I just think everybody's wrong in this particular one. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
You're just going to have to live with it. That's what I told myself. And if you can believe it, that's what the doctors told me.
Since Andy was a boy, he had health issues, which later we would find were primarily due to his trouble breathing. So for 36 years, Andy lived with about 85% blockage in his nose. He had to breathe through his mouth, because when he tried to breathe through his nose, it felt like he was being suffocated. It affected his sleep, his work life, and his ability to play sports. And he wasn't going to let it ruin his life anymore. So he came to Advent. As bad as it was, his problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty and turbinate reduction. Procedures you won't find offered by big box healthcare. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. It's definitely possible that your nasal breathing problems have a simple solution too. You can hear Andy's story in his own words at adventknowsandy.com and begin on your path to breathing well and living better.
Results may vary.
Our house needs a lot of work. That roof, siding.
J&J Contractors.
It's not just the outside. The bathroom needs to be completely redone.
J&J Contractors. They do it all with top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom. In addition to full interior remodels, J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team members use high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. Roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. Contact them today to schedule a consultation. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Come celebrate Milwaukee's original house party along our beautiful lakefront. Germanfest, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, featuring authentic German food, beer, and back this year, Steel Timber Sports in an international extreme sports competition with axes, saws, and more, all 3 days. Don't miss the Glockenspiel, Dachshund Derby, Culture Village, Mardi Gras Show, Drachenschau, and the Scherzenjäger Friday and Saturday night, and so much more. For more on Germanfest tickets and admission discounts, visit Germanfest.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters says, what were the pages doing in the Senate Rotunda that late at night? My understanding is that the Senate was still in session, and so that's why. And so when the Senate's in session, the Rotunda is a place where like the pages will hang out. But it's one thing. I don't know. It's one thing to hang out, waiting till you're called to do something. It's another thing to sprawl out on the floor of the Capitol Rotunda. And again, I'm not defending, like, cursing at these teenagers and things like that. I think there's other ways that you can, I don't know, call into question what they're doing and things like that. But to answer your question, I think my understanding is the Senate was still in session, so that's why they were still there that late at night. Okay. Our number, 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. The point I have made when we've talked about this issue before is that here in Wisconsin, the question of illegal immigration is in general a theoretical sort of thing. You know, we are not a border state. You know, we don't have a massive number of people pouring across the Rio Grande, you know, into the state of Wisconsin, and bringing with them whatever issues that they might bring with them. We don't deal with that. Now, do we have people who are here, you know, illegally? Yes, but we're not a destination where people come in illegally. You can't say that if you live in Arizona or if you live in Texas or you live in some other places along the border. And I mean, I've told this story before that I remember years ago, Journal Communications, we owned radio stations when WTMJ was owned by Journal Communications, we owned radio stations all across the country. And there was a period of time where we had a radio station in Tucson, Arizona, and the talk show host was incapacitated. He had a heart attack, I think, is what happened. And so I was doing double duty. I was doing my radio show and I was doing his radio show. They'd hook you up on a satellite and things like that. So it was really very interesting to talk to people in different parts of the country. You talk to people in Tucson, Arizona about illegal immigration, and like I say, here it's kind of a theoretical sort of thing. There it's a lady calls up and says, well, there were 10 people who would illegally come into the country overnight that are sitting in my backyard, you know, peeing in the bushes. Okay. And so it's a whole different story when you're down there. So it gives you at least a different kind of perspective on it. There is no question that and this isn't I don't want to necessarily make this a Biden problem or a Trump problem or an Obama problem, because this has been going on. Our inability to secure our border has been a problem for a long period of time. And we can't reach agreement on how to deal with this. I know there's a lot of people who say, well, if you're a dreamer, if you've been in the country for 20 or 30 years, we should find you a path towards legal residency or citizenship or whatever. But the flip side is that's fine, but you have to stop the flow of people coming in illegally, because especially these border communities cannot handle this. So one of the ways that the governors in some of these states have been dealing with it is they've been saying, okay, we're tired of getting lectured to by the governor of California or the mayor of Los Angeles or the mayor of New York or the governor of New York or the governor of Illinois or the mayor of Chicago, who, you know, stick their noses up in the air and say, okay, we're going to declare ourselves a sanctuary city. So the response has been, fine, you share the burden. Story in the LA Times today is the 6th bus containing people who entered the country illegally in Texas. The 6th bus just arrived in Los Angeles, I believe it was yesterday, carrying 36 immigrants. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has started, and he started about a month and a half ago, started sending busloads of migrants to Los Angeles. And it's like, okay, you want to be a sanctuary city? Here, you deal with it. Same thing has been true. It's been going on in New York. It's been going on in Chicago. They're saying, all right, fine. We cannot handle all the people that are coming across the border, and you want to be a sanctuary city? Fine. We're going to send them to you, and you can deal with this. And again, it's been happening in Chicago. It's been happening in Delaware. It's been happening all over the country, New York City as well. And now a lot of these mayors are like screaming like stuck pigs. Oh, no, you can't be doing this. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right. The idea that, all right, you want to declare your city to be a sanctuary city. All right. Should you, again, share the burden? And is it wrong for these governors of border states to say, fine, we're getting overwhelmed. Here, we're going to send busloads of migrants to your city and let you deal with them just like we have to deal with them on a daily basis. 855-616-1620. We discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hello, I'm Kelly Burris, an attorney with the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips we provide our clients. Number 1, don't move out of your house just because your wife tells you to. Remember, that's your house too. Number 2, don't blow through the financial statements that you file with the court. These are key exhibits, and they often make or break your case. Number 3, watch the social networking. Expect your wife's lawyer to do a thorough online search. Incidentally, this is a two-way street. Now a bonus tip. Partner with your attorney in assembling evidence. You're one of the 2 leading experts on your life and marriage. Your attorney needs your input to achieve your goals. And finally, talk to your attorney before taking action. At Cordell & Cordell, we've been a partner men can count on for over 30 years. Schedule an appointment by calling 866-DADS-LAW or by visiting us at CordellCordell.com.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Hey, Eric Bilstead here with WTMJ's Wisconsin's Morning News for J.D. Griffiths. They've been at it for more than 70 years. J.D. Griffiths has been Milwaukee's premier provider and builder of garage doors. My wife and I went to jdgriffiths.com, set ourselves up for a free at-home estimate. It was terrific. It was easy. And now we are the proud owners of 2 new garage doors customized to what we wanted. jdgriffiths.com is the website. And by the way, J.D. Griffiths does more than just brand new garage doors. They also service and repair current doors as well. JDGriffiths.com, again, is the website. So whether you're looking to upgrade your garage door for added customization, increase your home value, or need dependable service and repairs, J.D. Griffiths is here to help you make the most of this summer season and enjoy a hassle-free garage door experience. J.D. Griffiths and JDGriffiths.com. Get your free at-home estimate today.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
We want to decrease your pain as fast as possible. When we inject our powerful, FDA-approved anti-inflammatory and cushioning medicine precisely guided to the root of your pain, in most cases, relief in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees is a reality. For those who go through our entire process, we can very much control and reduce your pain while increasing your quality of life. Thousands of Rejuvenex patients maintain their pain relief with semi-annual to annual treatments, proven to reduce inflammation, to make pain a lot more bearable. Some providers may charge up to $8,000 for similar treatments. At Rejuvenex, because we're in network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, your out-of-pocket expense could be as low as $400 or less, or nothing at all. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, where you can find pain relief. Really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
$855-616-1620. For the sixth time in the last month and a half or so, the governor of Texas has, with their permission, rounded up a bunch of people who came into this country illegally, put them on a bus, and shipped them to Los Angeles. That's the story here. And, of course, the latest bus, the bus left Brownsville, Texas on Wednesday morning around 9:45 a.m., arrived at Union Station in Los Angeles about 25 hours later. And, of course, you have the people in Los Angeles who have declared themselves to be a sanctuary city. They're outraged. In one of the hottest summers in recent history, the lives of 36 asylum seekers have been upended once again by political ploys of Governor Abbott. Oh, okay, well, that's all well and good, but you know what? My guess is it's a lot hotter in El Paso, Texas, than it might be in Los Angeles. There's certainly not dramatically cooler. But here's the bottom line: if for people out there who do not recognize that immigration is a huge problem and it is a national issue, if you want to say, fine, we don't like what they're doing down at the border, we don't like the fact that they're putting these restrictions on, okay, well, you have to share in dealing with the problem. You have to share in figuring out, okay, now how are we going to deal with hundreds, or in the case of Texas, thousands of people who are pouring in every day who are demanding access to social services and things like that while their immigration status is dealt with. So it's fine. If you want to preach New York City, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, if you want to preach about this, here's the bottom line of this. Just recognize that maybe it's fair to share the wealth. One of our texters says, why send people to other cities? Drive the bus south. Can't do that. Take them back to Mexico. Well, I think that's an element. Mike in Crystal Lake says, I support this 100%. I think it's funny that they don't like it when the shoe is on the other foot. They talk big about Texans wanting to turn them away being wrong, but they don't want to deal with them, either. Let's talk to Craig in Horicon. Craig, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff. Happy Friday.
Same to you, sir.
I'm hoping for a great weekend, and I hope you do too. While you were speaking to the people of Tucson, I was actually fortunate enough to move from Arkansas to Tucson for a couple years, 2008, 2009, and seen some of the most incredible things. I would go on weekends, take Jeep drives out to the desert, and it was just amazing. I mean, unfortunately, yes, there were human remains. There were a lot of trash piles from the immigrants. There were people actually bringing water jugs out there to leave overnight, and then there were other people going out there busting the water jugs so they wouldn't have anything to drink. Once you got back into the city, the hospitals, there was 3 main hospitals. The immigrants were lined up outside of the emergency room because that's where they would receive care. I've seen broken bones, deep cuts, really sick people. They would be treated for the immediate cause. And as soon as they were stable, they were sent right back outside because the hospitals, they wanted to deal with people with insurance and stuff. So, I mean, yes, they would treat them, but they had to wait in line, and then.
Well, Craig, my guess is the hospitals were also overwhelmed with the You got your normal, people who live in Tucson in the area, and then you've got all sorts of people who are coming in, constantly and illegally. My guess is there was an overwhelming factor as well.
Jeff, stacked up outside the emergency room, outside in that Tucson 110-degree heat in the summer. Absolutely amazing. What they went through, but I guess my question would be, if some of these cities, these sanctuary cities, are also cities that have a lot of homeless, and that costs a lot of money as well. Where does the government come up with the money? I know that's why New York and Chicago are barking, but where does the federal government come up to pay for all this? It is truly amazing. And if anyone really wants to get a glimpse, please buy a plane ticket, go down south to some of these border cities and really see what's happening.
No, Craig, thanks. And that's why I always say it's for us here in southeastern Wisconsin, it's an academic kind of conversation because, we don't have our our resources. We don't have our government systems. We don't have our hospitals overwhelmed by people who are pouring across the country. That's, every once in a while we get some people from Illinois who come up here. Okay, well, we deal with that. But, you go down to these border towns and it is completely and totally different. I agree with you. I mean, anybody, if you really want to understand this picture, talk to people who lived in Tucson, who lived in El Paso, who lived along the border, and see this daily impact of what it has on people's lives. And at least it will give you some perspective on this, as opposed to just I think it's wrong to put people on a bus and ship them out to Los Angeles. Well, okay, that's good. You might think that, but then, why is it exclusively Texas's problem or Arizona's problem or whatever? Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss new IRS regulations and how that affects your required minimum distributions.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickard. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at ACCUNET.com.
Fear and procrastination can stop a move to a better lifestyle. Call Bruce's team of senior real estate specialists, taking you from overwhelmed to I can do this. 262-242-6177 or visit brucesteam.com.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Why settle for just a job when you could have a career in the exciting automobile industry? The Auto Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee new car dealers have technician, sales, administrative, and management positions available now. The first word in career is car, and one of the best places to find a great career opportunity is at an Adam New Car Dealer.
Go to work happy when you go to work in the auto industry. For current, great-paying job opportunities, visit adam.jobs. That's ADAMM.jobs.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Song is Take It to the Limit by the Eagles. The singer of that is one of the lesser-known members of the Eagles, Randy Meisner, who was one of the founding members of the band in 1971. He was their bass player, and he is renowned for having incredible range, and Take It to the Limit was his signature song. He left the band after a dispute with a couple other band members in 1977, but that was his song, Take It to the Limit, which was one of the most requested songs by the Eagles. And some people you can argue about what their best song was, Hotel California, or whatever, but Take It to the Limit is definitely one of those. I bring this up because Randy Meisner passed away earlier this week at the age of 77. So again, a rock star. He never got the attention that like Don Henley and Glenn Frey got, but he was instrumental, and he was there for a lot of the Eagles' like early success. Randy Meisner with an incredible vocal range, dead at the age of 77. Sail on.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hi, I'm Father Tim Kitsky from the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, inviting all of you on behalf of the Milwaukee Catholic Home to the Heart and Soul of Ireland pilgrimage. I'm excited to be the leader of this amazing spiritual trip. It's taking place June 2nd to the 11th, 2024. On this pilgrimage, we'll explore many breathtaking sights, charming Irish cities, all the while growing in our faith and creating friendships and memories that will last a lifetime. Please join us. Check out the details on alifeengaged.org or by calling 414-220-3216. Thanks.
Radon. It's in your home, and Lifetime Radon Solutions can get it out. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. The radon levels in our Menominee Falls home were too high for our comfort level. Lifetime Radon Solutions installed a mitigation system in less than a day to put our minds at ease. Radon's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. Call Lifetime Radon Solutions today for a free home test with no strings attached. Mitigation systems start as low as $9.95. Take care of your family and do what we did. Call Lifetime Radon Solutions today. LifetimeRadon.com.
Veterans benefits denied? Contact Tayback for the payback. Go to TaybacKattorneys.com.
I hope they're brave enough to face us another 3 games after less than a week.
And Tyrone, a high drive, left field, Benson back, track, gone!
The Brewers are in Atlanta against the Braves, with coverage starting today at 5:45 on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
2 o'clock, 85 degrees, mostly sunny, hot, humid today, late afternoon and evening. Thunderstorms, some severe tonight with an overnight low of 67. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. The prospective buyer of the old Northridge Mall site in Milwaukee has had a change of heart.
Phoenix investors had been the prospective buyer of the vacant building on Milwaukee's north side, but today they've walked away from a contract to purchase the vacant property after they failed to come to an agreement with the city of Milwaukee. Our partners at the Milwaukee Business Journal say city officials would not drop a raise order for the company's redevelopment, which Phoenix Investors founder and chairman Frank Crivello said was a problem he couldn't overcome. Security at the property will continue into next week, so the city has time to make other plans. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
President Biden at a textile plant in Auburn, Maine today, touting his Bidenomics agenda that he says is helping create jobs and boost wages for American workers.
According to Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, it's leading to a boom in manufacturing, what we're doing. We've created over 13 million new jobs, more than before the pandemic. Nearly 28,700 here in Maine.
Inflation may be slowing down. June's personal consumption expenditures price index increased by just 0.2% from the previous month. Earlier this week, the Federal Reserve announced a 0.25 percentage point interest rate increase after there was no rate hike in June. Authorities in Fulton County, Georgia, appear to be preparing for a Donald Trump indictment. Atlanta News First reporting barriers were put up yesterday in front of the courthouse. Georgia District Attorney Fannie Willis is soon expected to announce charges against the former president in connection with the 2020 election in Georgia. 13 Republican presidential candidates will be gathering this evening for the Iowa GOP Lincoln Dinner in Des Moines. And for the first time in that early stage, the two Republican frontrunners will share the same stage. Here's ABC's Dave Packer.
Former President Trump, leading in Iowa polls, has made few appearances with other GOP candidates. This evening's Lincoln Dinner in Des Moines will give voters a chance to see him among 13 other Republicans vying for the nomination, including number 2 polling Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Each candidate will have 10 minutes to address the crowd.
In Alabama today, Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis says Carly Russell, the woman who reported she was kidnapped, was arrested for making false statements to police and wasting the time of searchers who believed what he calls a hoax.
Many private citizens volunteered their time and energy into looking for a potential kidnapping victim that we know now was never in any danger.
Russell called 911 on her way home from work, saying there was a toddler on the side of the road. Her family says she called them, screamed, dropped the phone, but returned home 2 days later. The Brewers believe they're a postseason team and may not be done trying to get better.
good first start, getting a good first baseman.
That's Brewers President of Business Operations, Rick Schlesinger, on Wisconsin's Morning News. Schlesinger expects GM Matt Arnold is working on other possible trades.
We're in a position where we want to get in the postseason and do some damage in the postseason. We need to, improve the Major League team now.
The Major League Baseball trade deadline is next week, Tuesday. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 183 points, the S&P 500 up 45, and the Nasdaq Composite up 274. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 2:04.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
My buddy Gus can down 4 brats in 2.7 minutes. What's the hurry? Why inhale a packed plate of cured pork when you can take your time to do it right and savor every bite? It makes me proud of the work we do at Mr. Holland's Home Services. When we make a house call, we won't guss up the service by racing through the repair. We take our time and do it right the first time so you can savor every morsel of total home comfort. Our banger bunch of talented techs promise to be punctual, polite, and proficient. So leave the racing sausages to the ballpark. For precision plumbing, accurate air conditioning, excellent electrical, and delightful drain cleaning, call 866-992-1717 or visit this link, MrHollandsHomeservices.com. Get it? Link, sausage. Oh, do you know where the first sausage was cooked? In Greece. If you want service that's better than these jokes, we can help.
It's Samantha with Heiser. The perfect vehicle will amp up your summer fun and adventures. We have a selection of amazing vehicles on lot, as well as specialists to help custom order one. Plus, our exclusive Safe and Sound program comes included on all vehicles, which includes the vehicle exchange program. Don't love it? Exchange it. Just one of our ways of saying we appreciate you. Stop in or shop online and see all our specials and program details at Heiser.com. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee has partnered with the iconic musical duo of Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons from world-renowned rock band Kiss to bring their newest hit to town, Rock and Brews Restaurant. On August 1st, rock and roll over to Potawatomi for the grand opening of Rock and Brews and satisfy your need for great food, great music, and most importantly, a great time. For more details, visit paysbig.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The trade deadline is off and running in Major League Baseball, and the Brewers not having a game on Thursday, but they made the headlines nonetheless. General Manager Matt Arnold, the company making a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates, adding veteran first baseman Carlos Santana for minor leaguer Johnny Severino. The Brewers will get back to work on the field tonight as they are in Atlanta to begin a 3-game set with the first-place Braves. Coverage gets underway right here on WTMJ beginning at 5:45. Over to college football, where Big Ten Media Day was held in Indianapolis on Thursday. Newly hired Badgers head coach Luke Fickell providing a new mentality and a new goal for his Wisconsin program.
We have one objective, and that's to play for a championship. I don't think that'll ever change, whether it's year 1, year 2, 3, 4, or 5. That's what our objective is.
And lastly, over to the NFL, where there's no practice today in Green Bay for the Packers. Day 3 of camp will continue on Saturday morning beginning at 10:30. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Take a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Everything is looking pretty good except that little construction area, I-43 north and southbound from between downtown and Brown Deer Road. Northbound, usually about an 11-minute drive. That's going to take you about 15 minutes. And southbound, it's going to take you close to 20 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Harwood Place Senior Living. Learn more about Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing options. Visit harwoodplace.org or call to schedule a tour.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be sunny, hot, and humid the rest of the afternoon. Late afternoon and evening thunderstorms, some possibly severe. Those showers and storms will end overnight with patchy fog possible and an overnight low 67. Mostly sunny tomorrow and Sunday with highs both days around 78. Sunny skies on Monday with a high of 80. And Tuesday, mostly sunny, a slight chance for an afternoon or evening shower and a high Tuesday of 82. Right now, Madison 89, Green Bay 82, Milwaukee 85 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 2:08.
live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the program. We, in addition to doing spoken word radio, you can now watch us as well. And wearing my pink shirt today. A lot of us are wearing pink around here. It's kind of one of our, we got a little tribute thing going on. But yeah, you can watch. All you have to do is go to WTMJ.com and you can click on the Listen Live button, which I know a lot of people do, or you can click on the Watch Live button and the cameras come on and you can watch us do the various programs. And I'm always amazed at how many people, we got a lot of people watching right now, as a matter of fact. So we try not to disappoint. You can also go to YouTube and just put in WTMJ and subscribe. You don't even have to subscribe. You can go on there, but we've got our own YouTube channel. Who knew? And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention the podcast. And I know because I see the numbers on a regular basis. Lots and lots of people listen to the podcast as well that my producer Samantha posts every day. You know, if she doesn't get, there's like no time off as soon as the program ends. That is her mission, to kind of post the podcast, and I appreciate that as well. Hey, a quick programming note. It's one of our very, very favorite times of the year. Wisconsin State Fair starts next Thursday, and I'm going to be broadcasting. I'm going to be there next Thursday, and then most of the following week. I'm off a week from today. We're going up to Door County. Don't go. My wife loves Door County. We have not been to Door County in a number of years, and so this year we're going out with some of our very, very dear friends, and there's 3 couples, and we're going up on I'm going up after the show on Thursday, and we're going to be spending Friday, Saturday, and coming back on Sunday. So I will be at State Fair next Thursday, and then most of the week after that, most of the second week, there might be one day where there's an early baseball game. But if you are out and about at the Wisconsin State Fair, come by our broadcast facility. We call it the Fishbowl, and you don't even need the cameras to watch it. You can see us out there live, and I make a point of trying to come out and say hi during the breaks and things like that. So I would love the opportunity to meet you, and I get the chance to, year after year, I know there's a lot of the same folks that come out and stop by. So if you happen to be there during noon to 3 on weekdays, when I'm there, come on out and say hi. And otherwise, just come out and enjoy the Wisconsin State Fair. I know Wisconsin Now is going to be there. That would be Steve and Sandy. And I know John McCure is going to be there as well with Greg Matzik. Speaking of John McCure, he's brought, this is kind of a cool thing. Saw him this morning. He's on his way up to Oshkosh because he's going to be broadcasting from a tent on the site of the EAA air show today. So John's going to be up there, and we'll turn this show over to him in about 50 minutes or so. But he is on scene at the EAA. How very cool is that? I was hoping to get a little more details on this story, but it's not emerging. The video of this is absolutely incredible. It's this crash that occurred in Kenosha last night, about 3:30 in the morning. This pickup truck, slams into a Play It Again Sports. Play It Again Sports is one of the kind of sports resellers. They resell golf clubs and things like that, you know. And it's located near Highway 50 and 40th Avenue in Kenosha. And if you see the video and the pictures of this, it's stunning. Pickup truck drives into the building. And this pickup truck is well into the building. 21-year-old passenger and a 22-year-old passenger died as a result of the impact and their injuries. 20-year-old driver, 21-year-old passenger taken to the hospital in critical condition. And, you know, who knows what's going to happen there. And then there was a 22-year-old passenger who was not seriously injured. So this is 5 people in their early 20s, 3:30 in the morning, and the pickup truck moving at a high rate of speed, and obviously the driver, I assume, loses control of the car or whatever, and just smashes into this building. If you look at it, it's not surprising at all that, and maybe the big surprising thing is that anybody walked away from this. I'm sure more details are going to be emerging. Right now, police aren't saying if speed or alcohol was a factor in the crash. I don't know about alcohol. It's very clear that speed had to be a factor because you couldn't have done this sort of damage to that building unless you were moving at a really, really high rate of speed. But at least so far, no more news about it. But it's really kind of gets your attention when you look at this. And once again, it demonstrates that, I think sometimes we just take for granted that, we all drive, we all have these different cars and stuff. But it's just, you are behind you're behind the wheel of a very dangerous instrumentality. And I don't know what these 5 guys were doing, or 5 people were doing. Don't know if it's men or women. I don't know what these 5 people were doing out on the road at 3:30 in the morning. And I don't know how it is that they ended up crashing their vehicle into the side of this building. But life is short. And, all you need is a couple momentary mistakes, and you find that you're in critical condition, or your friends are dead, or whatever. So, be mindful of this. When we come back, speaking of cars, I want to completely change things up. Are you in the market for a new car? What did Ernie von Schledorn used to say back when he was advertising, back when Ernie was alive? Was it, who do you know wants to buy a car? Well, I've got a question related to that. Stick around. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me every Saturday at noon for Experience Wisconsin, where we check in with communities across the state for the best and the brightest spots around the great state of Wisconsin. A lot of fun, a little bit of education. This week, we're joined by Emily Duvall from Old World, Wisconsin, and Teresa Nemitz, the founder of Milwaukee Food and City Tours. It's Experience Wisconsin, Saturday at noon, right here on 620 WTMJ.
This is WTMJ Jeff Wagner, here to tell you about Built Right Furniture's July sale and clearance mattress sale. You can shop the most unique selection with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Built Right's one location always saves you money. Let's hear from one of their customers, Benny S. from Milwaukee, who says, "My wife and I were very satisfied with our mattress and box spring purchase, from the salesperson to the hassle-free decision to buy." Thank you, Benny, for the kind words. Now is the time to shop Built Right, and with their legitimate sale prices, you can get an exceptional value and you can get a great night's sleep. Built Right specializes in flippable two-sided mattresses and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, they offer free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $5.99 or more. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association's 2023 Retailer of the Year Award. How cool is that? They're open Monday through Saturday. They open at 10, they close at 6. Sunday they're closed to be with family. When you get there, do me a favor, do yourself a favor too, because they'd love to hear this. Tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield. They're just off I-894.
I'd been living with a snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me, saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Mothan Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution: in-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by big box healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. Okay. So I was just responding to, I just heard from, got an email from somebody who used to be a property manager out at Northridge. I was just kind of responding to, that. Let's change gears. People know I have a second place in Florida, and we lost we had a car that was stored in the garage during Hurricane Ian, and salt water got into the tailpipe and was messing around with the electronics. And so just like a lot of other cars, mine was totaled by the insurance company. Thank you. And, so I was in the market for a second car, and I was in the market for a car to replace the one that we lost there. And just for various circumstances, I was looking around, and even though we are coming out of the pandemic, finding inventory of cars is very, very difficult. I told this story. I mean, I ended up ordering a car in November, and it was finally delivered in April. You know, it was like a 6-month wait for the vehicle, and I knew it was going to be a few month wait, and it was no problem. But that's what it was. I mean, if I wanted the car that I wanted in the color that I wanted, with the interior that I wanted, with the features that I wanted, it was, well, they're going to have to make it for you, and you're just going to have to wait. So it was okay. And by the way, I have the car now and absolutely love it. But it's not how it used to be. It used to be, back in the day, that if you wanted to buy a new car, you know, you would go to the dealer's lot, and let's say, okay, I'm a fan of Hondas, the CRVs, but you know, fill in the blank, whatever your favorite car is. You could go to, in the example I'm going to give, you go to the Honda dealer and you can say, hi, and you meet the salesperson, or maybe you have some salesperson, you say, okay, I'm in the market, I want a 2023 Honda CRV. I'm a little bit flexible about the color, but these are the different features I want on it. And they'd say, okay, no problem. And they'd walk you down the aisle, and then you'd see, all right, here we've got 15 or 20 of these vehicles that are here. And they all got some have more bells and whistles than others. But you would be able to look at this, and you'd be able to say, okay, here, I want this one. Then you go back, you talk to the finance people, and maybe that day you drive away in your new car. Or maybe you come back the next day because they got to prep it. But you would buy something that was off the lot. Well, good luck trying to do that nowadays, because the dealers, first of all, they do not carry the inventory that they used to carry. Carrying cars, it costs a lot of money. You know, that the dealers have to shell out. So dealers have cut back as a result of COVID. One of the things that's happened is it was almost impossible, or at least it was very difficult to get new cars. So the idea of just being able, especially if you're at all fussy, the idea of just being able to walk out on a Saturday morning at a dealer's lot and say, I want the Honda CRV, or I want this or that, and have your choice of a variety of cars, those days are gone. There's a big story in the Wall Street Journal today that talks about how 5 ways that buying a car has drastically changed. But number one is slim pickings. And it talks about, again, this point about how dealers just aren't carrying the different choices in vehicles that are out there anymore. And for more and more people, if you want that new car, what you're going to have to do is, in all likelihood, you're going to have to be willing to order it, and you're going to have to be willing to wait, particularly if you want, features that don't necessarily come standard on all the cars. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right. How do you feel about the way car buying has changed? And does the fact that for more and more situations, you just can't walk out to the dealer's lot and pick something off? Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that under no circumstances is that possible, but it's a lot more difficult now than it was, say, pre-COVID. And at least this Wall Street Journal article is suggesting that those days aren't coming back. You know, what do you think about the idea of having to kind of think ahead and order cars? Is that going to influence and impact car buying? Is this a change, for the better or the worse? And have you noticed this? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Did you hear that? It can only mean one thing. The Wisconsin State Fair is back. As you're enjoying the fair, be sure to stop by the Bank 5-9 studio on the heart of the State Fairgrounds to see all of your favorite hosts broadcasting live. It's WTMJ Live at the Wisconsin State Fair, all fair long. See you there.
I'm Certified Financial Planner Tony Drake with Drake & Associates. If you're retired or looking to retire soon, have you developed a strategy to minimize or eliminate the taxes when you start pulling money out of your IRA or 401k? If you haven't, then you have a very vulnerable plan because taxes are going up in the future. And if you look at the spending our government does, taxes could rise even more. Find out what's missing in your retirement strategy by requesting a copy of my Retirement Ready Toolkit that's loaded with materials designed to help protect you from taxes. Call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982 to get your free toolkit today.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
You wanted lower prices? Fleet Farm's got them. Like KT Nut and Fruit Blend, now only $32.99 for a 20-pound bag. Or how about $3.49 a quart for Resolute Conventional or Synthetic Blend Motor Oil? Also, Resolute Classic Green Antifreeze is now just $10.99 a gallon. And control summer weeds with Gordon's Amine 240 Weed Killer. 2.5 gallons, now only $69.99. Look for new lower prices on everything you need for everyday life with price drops at Fleet Farm.
Three Pillars in Dousman is rated the best continuing care community in Wisconsin. Located on 300 beautiful Lake Country acres, it's not just a great place to live, it's an incredible place to work. Three Pillars has career opportunities for RNs and LPNs in assisted living and long-term skilled nursing, with signing bonuses up to $5,000. Be part of the state's top-rated team and make a difference in the lives of others every day. Learn more at 3pillars.org.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Hey, pick a number. Think about, my question is the average cost of a new car, the average selling price of a new car, and think what it might be. Samantha, you want to have a guess? Guess that you have no clue. All right, okay. Average price of a new car. Just think about what that number might be, $25,000, $30,000. Well, okay, the final Jeopardy answer, $46,000. Now that's average, which would be half or less, half or more. And a lot of the vehicles being sold nowadays, and I say cars, I'm talking about vehicles, are like the high-end trucks and things like that. But $46,000, there's only, as a matter of fact, there are only 4 models that are out there that have a under $20,000 sticker price. So, first of all, the selection isn't as great. Secondly, the cost is a lot more. Ken in Franklin. Ken, good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff. This is funny that you brought this up. I'm training a guy at work, and he's been waiting for a RAV4 for almost a year and a half. It finally came in this week. He went to go pick it up. They changed their mind on what they're going to give him for a trade-in.
Right.
And he canceled it. I can't believe.
After waiting a year, really a year and a half?
Yeah.
Oh.
Even if it was a couple $100 less, why? I don't get it.
But that's Ken, thanks for the call. That's kind of the new reality that's out there. Jeff, I ordered my Acura in July. It was already scheduled to be built, so it only took 3 months. It was right on time, but the price was really high. There's no question about that. Jeff, it's changed how we handle our current cars as well. We've hung on to an old 2001 Accord with 160,000 miles on it as an additional car rather than trading it in 2 years ago. For the $1,000 trade-in value, we just keep it in the garage in case of emergency. We didn't want to be rushed into something if something were to happen to our other cars. There's no doubt about it. Jeff, I factory ordered my Ram truck in 2022. Best experience of my life. Got the truck exactly as I wanted for a price no dealer would match. They ordered it from a dealer in Louisiana. Flew down to pick it up 6 months later. Had an old-fashioned road trip home. Took 4 days to drive back with no pre-planned route or schedule. Well, and that's cool, and that's great. I'm just saying this is the new reality that's out there, that for all of us who are used to, okay, time to go buy ourselves a car, and you show up on the dealer's lot. I was telling the story before when there were delays in getting my car, I went on the internet and I said, I looked at a particular dealer and they had, they said, well, we have X number of cars available. So I thought, okay, well, now as a backup, if I have to cancel the car I've ordered, could I go in? Because I was at the point where I now needed a car. So I went out to the dealer and they said, well, okay, those cars that we show as being in inventory aren't really all in inventory. It might be there are some that are in transit. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, they're coming. And I said, well, when are they coming? Well, we don't know. And it's like, okay, well, they're coming. Well, Christmas is coming. The whole idea is, no, if you want to, Mr. Wagner, if you want to buy a car today, and that's the type of car you want, I can show you two. So the website says we've got 12. Well, we might have 12 at some point in time. Now, I think that's going to change a little bit, but it's not going to change the underlying dynamic that things. For those of us who grew up with a certain model of buying car, that model's not going to be there anymore. So you got to pack your patience. You got to realize the deals aren't going to be there, and you might be in a situation where you've got to think ahead, because if you know you're going to need a car in 3 or 4 months, you might want to start thinking about that now, because you might have to order it and then wait for it. All right, it is that time of the week. We've got Pop Culture Corner coming up.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
R&R Insurance does an exceptional job providing employee benefits to all of us here at Good Karma Brands. About this time of year, companies start planning for fall open enrollment. Here's Jeff Selesinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Hi, Vince. Healthcare costs continue to rise, and businesses can act now to help control costs. To optimize your premium dollars, businesses need data and other benchmarking insights to help you gauge how competitive your employee benefits program is in the marketplace. You should not have to be a Fortune 100 company to gain access to your data and other benchmarking reports that can save your business money.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
At R&R, our in-house analytic experts serve as an extension of your team. We quickly assess if your plan is functioning the way it was designed, and whether your self-funded, level-funded, or fully insured plan is best for your business. Our data and analytics will help you make informed decisions. No more looking in the rearview mirror. At R&R Insurance, we know employee benefits.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
What makes Ben is that he's very, very detail-oriented.
That's Arvid Huth from Penny Mustard Furnishings, talking about his brother, Ben.
The details to me matter. The smallest detail needs to be right, and there's no reason it can't be right. To me, a room needs to be clean, and there's no reason a room can't be clean. A room should be organized. A warehouse should be organized. There's no reason why it shouldn't be organized. I'm a fanatic on some of those things. And Arvid would roll his eyes at me. That little dust is no big deal. But to me, I'm like, nope, that needs to be cleaned up.
He's so passionate about the quality of the furniture. Those details are his details. It's important for that furniture to be built perfect.
Every little detail matters if you're going to have people and a company and a culture where what we deliver to that customer is absolutely the best thing we can bring to that customer. Everything we do to get to that point that the customer never sees needs to be done to our best ability.
But in the end, I've always learned that the details won't take care of themselves. Ben will take care of the details. So that's been a blessing.
PennyMustard.com.
Gather round all. It's time for Wagner's Pop Culture Corner. Time to put aside the heavy lifting and have a good time at the Old National Bank talk-in text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's Jeff Wagner.
Here's some good news to start off. Got the latest weather update from Brian Niznansky from today's TMJ4. Our atmosphere is priming up for thunderstorms that will likely develop ahead of a cold front this afternoon. Storms first fire up in western Wisconsin, race across southwest Wisconsin between 7 and 10. Storms could be severe. Okay, Jeff, what's good about that? But once we get through tonight, he says, the weekend is shaping up to be fantastic. Fantastic. We'll see sunshine Saturday and Sunday with high temperatures in the 70s lakeside and the lower 80s inland. So once we get through tonight, it looks like it is going to be an absolutely gorgeous weekend. So just hang tough, continue listening. We'll keep you advised if there's any sort of really bad weather that's out there, and then just get ready to enjoy a wonderful late July weekend in Wisconsin. Okay, like the big voice guy said, this is the portion of the week. We do this every week. It is Pop Culture Corner. We pick, I don't know, some topics. Sometimes we talk about music, TV, movies, sports, food, whatever kind of tickles my fancy at a given time that I hope will tickle your fancy as well. Today, we're talking about road trips. Yep, we are talking about road trips. Now, what got me thinking about this was actually two things. Story in the Wall Street Journal. earlier this week talking about how Yosemite National Park, apparently they are thinking about bringing back reservations. During COVID, you had to have reservations, but that was because they needed to limit the number of people that were coming into the park. Now they're thinking about bringing back reservations because they are being overwhelmed with people. In June, 65,000 plus vehicles entered through one of Yosemite's busiest entrances, and that's up more than 50% from a year ago. And they're starting to see this at other national parks as well. So it tells me that people they're ready for road trips and they're ready to go out on vacation. Now, this is it's sort of a personal thing as well, because we have two very, very dear friends who have lived in Wisconsin forever, but they are from upstate New York. And we were talking, and I said, I've never been to Cooperstown, which is where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. Never been to Cooperstown, always wanted to see it. And also because, I'm very proud of the fact that I've given up more bad habits than most people develop in the course of a lifetime. But, I like to play the horses from time to time and haven't been doing that very much lately because that's what happens when you buy a second place in Florida and you have to pay for it. But Saratoga Racetrack is one of the oldest and racetracks in the country. And they have the Saratoga meet that runs from mid-July, they're doing it now, through Labor Day. And they get some of the very, very best horses in the country. And I've never been to Saratoga, just like I've never been to Cooperstown. My wife has never been to Niagara Falls. And so they're all within, depending on how you do it, where you fly into or where you drive into or whatever. But, you can do this circle in a few hours. So we were talking to our friends, Alan and Patty from upstate, who grew up in upstate New York. And I'm like, I wanted to see Saratoga. Well, we could do that. And I wanted to see, Fran wants to see Niagara Falls. Well, we could do that. So we've started planning a road trip. Now, I don't know if we're going to drive there to begin with, but we're certainly, wherever we end up, if we choose to fly into Toronto or whatever we're going to do, or Albany or Buffalo or wherever, we're going to rent a car and we're going to drive that circle. So, we have decided sometime next August, probably a year from now, good Lord willing, hoping everybody's health is good, we're going to do this road trip. We're going to do that circle to see, Niagara Falls and to see Cooperstown and to spend a couple days at Saratoga so I can bet on horses and stuff. And I'm very, very much looking forward to that. So I thought for Pop Culture Corner today, I want to talk about travel. Now, this is the time where people are planning or taking vacations and things like that. So 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. Here's the topic for today. All right, the best road trip. Where would you recommend people go? Where is your favorite place to go in the continental U.S.? So if you were planning a vacation, you could drive there. So that's the condition here. It's got to be someplace that you can drive, and it's got to be in the continental U.S. Don't tell me you want to go to the south of France. I love going to the south of France, but you can't get there by car. But if you were talking about a road trip, whether it's in Wisconsin or, driving to one of the national parks or driving to battlefields or driving down to Key West, if you want to take that route, all right. The best road trip around, something that you would recommend. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. And Pop Culture Corner, sponsored by our friends at Palermo's Pizza. One caller. We're going to get a lot of texts on this, but it's still a caller in the exclusive discretion of my producer, Samantha. One caller wins our Palermo's Pizza prize package. Try saying that fast 3 times, which is a coupon for a couple frozen pizzas and this really cool pizza cutter and some other Palermo's related stuff. 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. We're talking about road trips. You want to take a road trip this summer or next summer? Where do you want to go? Where should the rest of us go? Anywhere in the continental U.S. We discuss in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics are in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, and there have been thousands of patients that have received our pain relief treatment with zero out-of-pocket expense. Our FDA-approved treatments we'll use to remedy your pain are precisely guided to its root, to provide inflammation and cushioning relief to alleviate pain. What ends up happening is you begin on a pain maintenance plan, and how committed you want to be to alleviating your pain is up to you. But at the least, you can see us semi-annually to annually to, in many cases, significantly reduce pain in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really. Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
It's Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Rewards Member Appreciation Event. While we offer unbeatable deals every day, now through August 2nd, we're showing extra appreciation to our rewards members with exclusive deals. Like 2.5-gallon boxes of Clean Def, just $11.99. Rewards members save an extra buck. Blaine's brand synthetic motor oil, $5.49 a quart. Rewards priced at $4.99. Plus, rewards members are invited to save an extra 10% in-store during Blaine's Farm and Fleet's private members-only shop night. This Sunday only from 6 to 8 p.m.
For 60 years, RAID scientists have worked to protect people around the world, including the ones you love most. RAID. Protection for all.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Hey, boaters! This is Dave Doral from Kendor Marine. When you get here, you might be overwhelmed when you see so much stuff. But don't be, because our staff knows just where to find what you need. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and willing to help so that you can find everything you need to keep your boat in tip-top shape. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
We have the go-to marine store. And it's not just because we have all the boat parts and supplies you'll ever need, including oddball parts you thought you'd never be able to find. And it's also because we're cheaper than the other guys too. So why shop anywhere else? This is Dave Doral from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
It's pop culture time. Now back to take your calls. Here's Jeff Wagner.
855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. We're talking about road trips today. Okay, and for Pop Culture Corner, a lot of great ones. Number of people already are mentioning like Mount Rushmore and the Badlands and things like that. I haven't been there in years and years. I back a long time ago, back in the day, I dated a woman who she was from Rapid City, South Dakota, and I can remember we'd go to visit her parents and stuff, and then I've been out to Mount Rushmore a couple times. I had a friend in college who worked at Wall Drug, which is where you always see the signs X number of miles to Wall Drug. He ended up working there. 855-616-1620, best road trip around. Steve in Genesee. Steve, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I told my wife, Lisa, that the first time the Packers play in Las Vegas, we're going. So it was too expensive to fly into Vegas, so we're going to go into Phoenix and then go see the Grand Canyon because she's never seen the Grand Canyon. Go to Hoover Dam.
Right.
And then get into Vegas and go to the game on Monday night and then come back Tuesday.
Okay, I have a question. You're talking about it was too expensive to fly out there. Do you have tickets yet to the game?
No, we're going to just scalp them when we get there because the nosebleed seats were over $300.
Yeah. I have a couple friends who are going to the game, and I was saying, oh, that might be fun. And then I started looking into it, and I was seeing, prices for like $2,000. It was like Super Bowl type of prices, and I'm thinking, no, maybe I'll just end up watching it on TV. But it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Even if we just watch it somewhere, it'll be fun.
Well, absolutely. No. Thanks for the call. I think that's great. No. The drive from Phoenix to Vegas is fun. The drive from L.A. to Vegas is fun as well. 855-616-1620. Jeff, we just took a family vacation to Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and Antietam. The area is rich in Civil War history, and the confluence of the Shenandoah River is spectacular, with many trails and beautiful scenery throughout the area. If you are a student of history, that's one of the really cool things about that area. Go to Gettysburg. I always recommend that if you're going to go visit battlefields, to the extent that you can do this, I recommend that you do it at the time the battle was fought, just because if you get a sense of the terrain, you get a sense of what the weather was like. So, for example, for Gettysburg, which is just an incredible Civil War site, you go at the end of June, early July, and you can just imagine what it was that the people were going through that when that battle was fought in, 1863. But Antietam is very, very cool. I don't think I've ever been to Harpers Ferry. Jeff, we go to St. Louis, then we go to Branson. I've never been to Branson. Then Murfreesboro, Arkansas, and then we stop in Hot Springs, and then Memphis, and then we hit the Bourbon Trail. The Bourbon Trail in Kentucky is very, very cool. I have not done that, but I've driving from here down to Florida. You've seen that. Sometime I want to stop off and hit some of those distilleries. 855-616-1620. We're talking road trip radio. Where do you go for Pop Culture Corner? Let's talk to Mark in West Bend. Mark, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff. I kind of did an ultimate trip with my family when I worked. I had off between Christmas and New Year's, and we did about a week and a half trip. We left Wisconsin, road tripped all the way out, did the Corn Palace in South Dakota, went all the way out to Oregon, stayed with some friends, did Crystal Lake out there. We went to the Redwoods in California. We did Napa Valley, went all the way down to Venice Beach. Then we went over to Las Vegas, stayed there for New Year's Eve, road tripped all the way across through over to Texas, and then we road tripped back up to Wisconsin. And I went right into work on Monday morning of rolling back into town.
Okay, so you went in the course of 6. You said 6 kids. Oh, you're a brave man. So in the course of your road trip, you went from everywhere from the Corn Palace in Mitchell, South Dakota, and I have been there, to Las Vegas, Nevada, to the Redwoods National Park in California. Wow, wow.
Venice Beach, we did it all. It was one long trip, 6,500 miles, and it was well worth it. The kids talk about it yet. There was the good and the bad of, this sucks, we're all crammed in the van, but it was 2 flat tires over through the whole course of the whole trip, and never will forget it.
And you and your wife stayed married through the whole thing. Your marriage did not end as a result of that.
We're coming up on 31. We're coming up on 31 years in September. And, you just got to roll through the good and the bad and the ugly.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling. I sort of appreciate that. Let's talk to Joe in Hartford. Joe, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Your previous caller, hi Jeff. Your previous caller kind of stole my thunder. I did the same thing, similar. Went out to the Redwoods, but went to through the Badlands, Mount Rushmore, Devil's Tower. Then came down into California through Oregon, Crescent City. Went to the Redwoods, which are unbelievable, fantastic. Right. Came back through the wine country, Lake Tahoe, gambled in Nevada, Denver, and then home from there. Yeah, it was a wonderful trip. So much to see and do.
Oh, outstanding! So you would recommend that highly?
Yes, very highly.
Yeah, thanks. I've never been to the Redwoods. I mean, I've done in Napa Valley, but not driving. I mean, you kind of fly out there. I've done Napa Valley, and I've done on the way back from Hawaii. I mean, I've stopped in San Francisco and then done that route down through Carmel and stuff, which was just really, really cool. 855-616-1620. Not sure about driving to California from Wisconsin, but the best scenic drive is that 17-mile drive from Monterey through Big Sur. Yeah, that is incredible. Jeff, in mid-September, I'm driving the Circle Tour around Lake Superior. I know half is in Canada, half is the U.S., but it's beautiful. I've ridden around on my Harley, but this time with my wife in the car. Very, very good. Jeff, for me, it's the Blue Ridge Parkway in September in an open car. I have done it twice. It's going to be incredible. Well, I think that's it. Jeff, we're driving to Montana for our daughter's destination wedding and vacation. Huh. Montana. Don't think about that as a destination place. Very cool. Jeff, for me, it's Whitefish, Montana, specifically Glacier National Park. I find it to be beautiful. Nobody's mentioned this thus far, but I used to go to Washington, D.C. all the time. Back in another life, it's what I did for work. But my wife has never been to Washington, D.C., so I have promised her, and I don't know if we'll drive out there or if we'll fly out there, but I've promised her, at least a few days there. My niece is going to be a senior at American University Law School, which is based out of D.C. So when Sydney graduates, I'm thinking this might be the ideal time to go out there and at least spend some time in D.C. So whether you fly there or drive there, if you've never been to Washington, I highly recommend it. I mean, just you can kill several days just walking around, looking at the monuments, going to the Smithsonian, and then if you go out and you go to visit Arlington and things like that, it's just the history out there is just absolutely incredible. Lori in Bayview. Lori, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad you are talking about this topic. My husband and I just got back from a 2-week road trip that was amazing. We did what's called the Mississippi River Great River Road Trip. And we left Milwaukee. We went to northern Minnesota, Itasca State Park, where it's the origin of the Mississippi. You can walk across. It's a thing. And we drove all the way down, following the Great River Road, following the Mississippi River, to New Orleans and beyond, where the river dumps into the Gulf. And we were in Minnehaha and Minneapolis and LeClaire, where the pickers are, American pickers. Right. And we did Winona, and we did St. Louis and Memphis. And you were talking about battlefields. We did Vicksburg. Right. Which is actually happened the same time as Gettysburg. And we did, I said Memphis, St. Louis, Baton Rouge, and wound up spending 3 days in New Orleans and went to the end to Venice, Louisiana, to the end of the end of the Mississippi. It was 2 weeks, amazing.
Okay, did you get tired of being with your husband in a car for 2 weeks?
Oh no, I was. Everybody asked me that, but we just had so much fun. It was just the two of us. My son and his family met us for a couple of days in Winona, Minnesota, but we met so many people, and they heard about our road trip, and they gave us suggestions, and we saw the very best of this country, and some of the worst, to be very honest.
Did you make it to Graceland when you were in Memphis? Did you make it to Graceland?
Yes, we went in Minneapolis. We went to Paisley Park, and in Memphis we went to Graceland. Yes, right. We certainly did, and we did both capitals in Baton Rouge. It was just a great trip.
Lori, well, that sounds like a wonderful trip. Samantha says you are the winner of our Palermo's Pizza Prize package. So on us, you get a couple of coupons for some frozen pizzas, and the pizza cutter is really cool. And enjoy that, because I'm sure you're going to be having some home cooking after like 2 weeks on the road.
You betcha. I can't wait. I'm so excited to get this pizza cutter you keep talking about.
I love it. I can't get one. There's one, and thanks because there's one here that I can use at the office, but they have not. We've been doing this for a couple years now. They don't give me my own pizza cutter. We're just being swamped. A great American road trip. Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, going down to Florida. I mean, Key West. I mean, the drive from Miami to Key West is just kind of a spectacular thing. As I always say, Key West is one of my happy places. D.C. would be there. Going into Texas would be a great thing as well. Closer to home, between here and St. Louis, go see the Arch. Bottom line is it's a lot of fun. For me, I'm planning this upstate New York trip for next August, but it's going to be just absolutely outstanding. And I just thought we'd have a little bit of fun talking about the road trip. So wherever the car takes you on the open road, enjoy yourself. Okay, that's it for Pop Culture Corner for me this week. When we come back, John McCure is, speaking of great road trips, he's up at the EAA. We'll find out what he has on his mind in just a couple minutes. Please don't go anywhere.
Thanks for participating in this week's Pop Culture Corner. Stay tuned next week for another pop culture topic. Every hour.
Well, Cudahy police are now seeking a third suspect in the robbery of thousands of dollars from a charity fundraiser.
Every day.
A Milwaukee